T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes,
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it.
Coolest reptile podcast in the world, Trap Talk Reptile Podcast, episode 419. Brian Barczyk.
What's going on, man?
What's up, man? How are you, buddy?
I'm hanging in there, man. I'm hanging in there. I'm delighted to do this. I me and you talked a little bit before, and I had mentioned that, we obviously did our own podcast for quite a while, and and when my health thing came up, I stopped doing the podcast, which I miss, by the way, tremendously. But just energy and all kinds of other things, take it. So point is that I haven't really had a long form platform to just kind of talk about things since then, and so I'm really excited about just sharing all these things with you tonight. So I'm excited, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm beyond words right now, only because, like we were talking about, and I know a lot of people are going to like relate to this, because you've come face to face with a lot of people you've inspired, and that's one thing that, like, a lot of people who've inspired people, they don't actually get to meet a lot of these people that they inspire. You've done so much to make it a thing to have people for you to meet people, right? Animal Con, the Reptarium, you going to shows.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think the amount of shout outs, the amount of podcasts that I've talked about you, I don't think I could ever show enough appreciation for what you've done for me, Brian, because I've been pushed into so many corners. When I remember calling you thinking, like, maybe Brian's not going to be okay with me too. Like, what do I do? Like, and if Brian's not cool with me, then what do I do? You know what I mean? So many things going on in my head, and you've always given me the most direct, authentic piece of advice coming from experience. But that's just more appreciation of just what you've done, period, man. And you are the hardest working individual I've ever met in my entire life. I've never seen anyone have such a real, true passion, not only when the camera's on, but with the camera's off. I've seen the switch. I've seen it in people. I know people aren't as happy as they seem on camera. I fucking seen it. Sure. I've never seen that with you, Brian. I've been to your place a handful of times, and you're fucking, no matter what's happening in your life, you don't make it a thing. You don't ever make it about you, man. But it is about you. This is about you tonight. And I want to say, for everyone else, I'm speaking for everyone else tonight, how much grateful and appreciation we have for you just to even have the fucking balls to be here tonight. I just, I mean, I love you, man. I really love you so much. You've changed my life.
Well, I love you too, brother. I really do. And yeah, I mean, it's, I've lived a really blessed life. It's interesting to be in the position I'm in now, health wise, and still feel so blessed. I'm so grateful. I guess that's what I've said is, rather than living in uh, denial, sorrow, self-pity, whatever emotion you can think of, I've really chose to live in gratitude. And don't get me wrong, it's like I said, I'm going to probably be emotional tonight. I've been a lot more emotional over the last 6-8 months of my life than I've ever been. I've cried more than ever. I've embraced friends and loved ones with more emotion than I've ever had in my entire life. But I still am very grateful, and I've lived, like you said, I've been able to do what I love, right? And very few people can live that life and say, like, I have no, listen, you could say you have regrets or whatever, but the truth is I have no regrets. I mean, could I have done things differently on certain things? Absolutely. But they're not regrets. They're opportunities to learn, to grow, to become a better person. And interestingly enough, I've told people, like, I don't know what the future is going to have for me.
Yeah.
It sucks what I'm going through. Obviously, it's more difficult than people know. Like, I don't let on. Lori's really the only person that sees the truth of what I deal with on a day-to-day basis. I don't, show my crew. Like, every now and then, my crew will, like, maybe one or two people in my crew will get a glimpse of what I'm going through, and I can see the shock on their face. I could see the shock on their face because they see me come to work every day smiling and
Right.
and trying to stay positive and cheering them on and being so grateful for them. And every now and then, they see a little window into what I'm actually going through, and I think it even shocks them. Like I said, Laura's the only one that actually sees what you're going through, but at the same time, there's an amount of um like, almost, the question you have to ask yourself is that, if you walk out the door tomorrow and get hit by a car, how many things were you not able to tell people? How many relationships were you not able to mend? How many things in your life where you're not able to button up? Whereas, not that I'm saying what I'm going through is a blessing by any stretch, but, like, it's given me the opportunity to say things to people that I probably would have never said, to give gratitude to people that I would have never given gratitude for, or credit for. I had a beautiful moment at Animal Con with my mentor, Mark Bell, and me and Mark have had a good relationship since we were young, or since I was young. He was a little older than me, not much, but now the difference doesn't seem, when you're 15, someone that's 5 years older seems a lot. Now that we're in our 50s, it's not that big of a difference, but we haven't been real close for, probably 20, 25 years, but he was probably the biggest inspiration in my life, and professionally. And I got a chance to see Mark, and I was able to tell him to his face how much it meant to me, and I told him, like, I wouldn't be standing here today if it wasn't for you. And I don't think he realized, like, he didn't even know it. Like, he didn't know that, right? He didn't know how much of an impact he had on me. And so my point is that, rather than, sitting in sorrow and self-pity and loathing, uh, you take the opportunity to tell the people that matter. And I'm not saying that I've hit every single person, but the majority of the people that I've wanted to say things to, I've said things to. And I don't mean from a negative standpoint, because, listen, I'm trying to let go of negatives as much as I can. I don't think I don't think whether you're healthy or not healthy, living on negatives is always a terrible thing. There's certainly some people that did me really, really wrong in my life, that I haven't went. I'm not planning, and I never will go to them and tell them what pieces of shit they are.
You know what? That's so much for me to learn from too, because I'm the opposite, Brian. You know that. And one thing that ate me up in the beginning of knowing and becoming friends with you was a lot of the two-faced shit I would see, you know, with you. And then now, you know, I've seen, only because I relate to it. I'm in the thick of two-faced shit right now as we speak, but it's something to where like the attention is what any of those negative people want. Like you responding, you even looking at it is the game plan from those people. And you built such a strong, like, well, you know what? Think what you want of me, but I'm going to do me. And this is all I can do. That's all you did. You were at one point up against a lot of people for no fucking good reason, all because rumors could just be what they are, and things spread and things multiply. And I'm not going to say you're a perfect person. You know, who knows? There might have been a couple things that piss people off. That's the name of the fucking game that we're in. You know what I mean? Like, no one's a perfect person in this, you know?
No, but listen, I could name you dozens of things that I mean, probably hundreds of things I've done that would have pissed me off if in hindsight that I did, you know. And but you know, I always say there's a saying that I love that Mother Teresa said, and Mother Teresa said, every day I wake up and try to be the best person I can possibly be, and every day I fail, but I'm going to wake up tomorrow and try again. And so my point is that you always have to have like the best iteration of yourself. And I think that, you know, Brian Barczyk 2023 is a much better person than Brian Barczyk of 2015, and a better person than 2010 or 2008. And I'm sure that if I'm given the opportunity to be around for 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 or 15 more years, whatever it is, I'll be a better person, even more so. But that comes with maturity. It comes with experience. It comes with just being around long enough, and perspective too. You know, I mean, you know, like I said, interestingly enough, February 27, 2023 was the day my life changed forever. Right, that was the day I was diagnosed, and I can tell you that on February 27th, a lot of the things that really mattered to me no longer matter to me anymore. And they haven't since at all, you know? And I think that's, I hope that, and that's like being on your podcast tonight. I want to, you know, kind of be able to really portray that to people, how important life is. Like, I've always lived life hard, and I've always lived life, you know, to the fullest. And I've preached, you know, to love life and do what you love. And that's always been my mantra forever since I started, you know, back when I was a kid. But I think now I even have a different perspective of it, because I can tell you that the things that you wake up in the morning, MJ, and are concerned about, or whoever is watching right now is concerned about, 99% of them, those things don't matter at all. And if you were then faced with a horrible situation of whatever that may be, you know, I mean, a loved one dying, you being diagnosed with something terminal, you know, whatever the case may be, that 99.9% of the things that mattered so much to you don't matter anymore at all, period. And you just don't worry about them. You just don't think about them. You don't worry about them. Like for me, like success and fame and money and all these things like mean nothing to me. I mean, they were never a huge thing in my life, but I'm not going to lie. Of course, they were a driver. You know, you wanted to be successful. You wanted to be financially successful. You wanted to be a smart businessman. I wanted to be looked up as, not as just a reptile guy, but also a guy that was a smart business person. You know, I know, you know, crap loads about, you know, real estate and stocks and running businesses. And, you know, I mean, we run, you know, tons of different businesses, and I've researched so much stuff. I wanted to have all that kind of admiration from people. Now it just doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't. Like, the only reason that I keep the foot on the pedal is 2 reasons. One is because I think, you know, I have to have purpose in life. You know, I have to wake up in the morning and not give up. You know, I mean, like this morning was a good example. Last night was probably the worst night I've had since I've been sick. You know, I mean, I was in beyond level 10 pain. I had never felt pain like it in my life for 12 hours straight. for 12 hours straight from 5 o'clock at night till 5 in the morning. And I literally laid, well, first I was sitting right on this chair that I'm in now. And then I ultimately went up and laid in my bed and I cried the entire 12 hours from the pain. So I didn't sleep hardly at all last night. And I could have just laid in bed today. I could have just said, and I don't think anyone would have been mad at me for it, right? No one would have been mad at me for not going to work today, but I got up and I went to work. We filmed the vlog. I was at LegaSea making a bunch of decisions with contractors. I did my thing, and I didn't work a long day. I left about 3 o'clock today, which is early for me, especially the old Brian used to work till 9, 10 o'clock at night every day. Now I rarely work past 4 o'clock. Is rare for me to work past that now. So I have limitations, but my point is that, that's the one reason, is to give myself purpose, to get up and do things and not just lay in bed and feel sorry for myself. And the other thing is, to set my family up, to make sure that my family is okay if I'm not here, and not just my family, my crew, the people I love around me. I want them to not have to worry. And that's why, that's why I push so hard now, because for personal gain, there's no motivation for me at all for personal gain. I mean, the only thing that matters to me personally right now, other than the things I just talked about making sure my family's okay and my loved ones and my crew is okay, is time with the people I love. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
It's the time with the people I love, because, whether I'm here for 3 months, a year, or 10 years, all that really matters is the memories that you're creating on a day-to-day basis. And you being a new father, how much that love is for your kids, and it's really difficult to see, listen, does it suck to lay in bed and cry for 12 hours because you're in pain? Absolutely. Would I switch would I ever want to be in Lori or Jade or Noah or any of my crew's shoes instead of me? No, I would hate to be them, because they've got to think about life when I'm not around. And that's you got to remember, and this, MJ, because you've been around me enough. I lead everything, right? I lead by example. My dedication, my hard work, my love of animals, my undying passion to educate people about animals. Everyone around me is fed by that energy, and now they have to know that energy may not be there in the future. And that's the thing that is so important to me now, is to make sure that legacy carries on. And I talk about Walt Disney a lot because I was a huge and am a huge Walt Disney fan. And he passed away in 1966, and so you're looking at 50 plus years ago he passed away, and yet his companies are still ran with his vision.
Right.
And sure, would he make the same decisions every day that Eisner made, or whoever is going to be in charge of Disney in the future? Probably not. But for the most part, his legacy continues to carry on, because he instilled such an amount of passion into his people, and that's what I'm trying to do now. More than ever, is just cement that legacy. And listen, I said this in my vlog the other day, and it came from a conversation that I had with Lori, where I've said, obviously the LegaSea Aquarium, was named because of my legacy. And I've said a million times about, my legacy needing to be cemented and this and that, and what that matters to me. And she said something to me that, because I told her, I was talking to her and I said, you'll carry my legacy on, right? Like forever, you'll always carry my legacy. And I know she will, but she said something back that changed my perspective on everything. And she said, it's not your legacy, it's our legacy. She said, it's much my legacy, it is your legacy.
Yeah.
And she was right. And it's not just, her, it's everyone around me. You know, it's Mike, and it's Connie, and it's Jessica, and it's Jay Tomsky and Jay Tingle, and I mean the list goes on and on. It's all of our legacies that we've created and tried to do, and it was selfish of me to say that it was my legacy, because that was just selfish. And so yeah, so it's a, you know, it's an interesting life, and we're going to keep on, you know, struggling and getting through the days, and be grateful for what we can be, and in the tough times we'll grit through it, you know.
Yeah, man. I mean, the hardest thing I could think for you, man, is being a pioneer in so many aspects of where we're at today. Obviously, there's, you know, we're talking about the Bells before you, right? Different type of pioneers, but you created positions for yourself in this world, right? That, like, it wasn't like anyone hired you. You hired yourself, and you created positions to be the first to do certain things. And I know firsthand that takes balls, because guess what? People aren't going to like it, you know, especially, you know what? People like it until it goes somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Once it goes somewhere, then they're like, whoa, well, hold on. And the thing with you, Brian, you never stopped. It never stopped with you. And the hate never stopped either, as far as the jealousy, because the human nature of somebody who's very miserable with their own life, like when somebody can't figure it out for themselves, they instantly want to take down anyone else who figures it out themselves. It's, you know, that saying, misery loves company. I mean, I think misery is a community. I think misery is a community of people that feel better around each other, because guess what? It feels good to talk shit about somebody, right?
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think that I've said that, you know, I think that, you know, the majority of hate that comes with success is jealousy. Not all of it, but the majority of it. And it's, you know, people hate people that do, because they can't do, or they're not willing to do. And I agree with you. I think that, you know, trying to pioneer and look at when I look back at, you know, our life, you know, Lori and my life over the last 35 years, how many iterations we've created of ourselves, you know, from, you know, starting out with BHB, and really, you know, I always looked at the reptile hobby, like you said, the Bells and Gary Sipperly and you know, Applegate and Lloyd Lemke, and the list, I could go on forever, you know, with the list of people that were, you know, started, you know, this whole industry. But, you know, they were still kind of in the closet, so to speak, right? You know, they were still kind of like old herpers that, you know, did things when you were just horse trading, right? You know, you would, you know, hatch a snow corn, and you would trade it to this guy for a banana cow king, you know, and there was no real industry or money or anything like that in it when we started. So I always looked at myself as like, how could I take the reptile hobby to the next level? You know, not just me personally. I mean, I was one of a group of people. Kevin McCurley was in that group, and so were a lot of other people at the time. You know, that really elevated from, you know, this kind of closet breeder of reptiles to being more mainstream, and going from, you know, making enough money to pay your rodent bill to making millions of dollars in an industry. And that was something that I really prided myself on, is like, you know, we were the first people to put out a full color price list. You know, we were the first people that, you know,
I'm sorry, that's funny.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. You know, we put out a full color price list, and, you know, back then people would just Xerox copy, you know, a typed up price list. You know, that's what they did. And we had, it was funny. I was the first guy that I know of, anyways, that had a website. It was called the Internet Jungle, and a guy named Brad from Chicago came to me back. I mean, when the internet was like before AOL dial-up. I mean, it was that early on, and he was like, "Hey, the internet's the next big thing. I can create you a website." I didn't even know what that meant. And literally, he created me a website with all of our animals on it, our projected production for the year. And it was out there before. I remember seeing it for the first time, probably like a year after it launched, because that was when
they a lot of money for that, Brian, back then, or no?
No, I think it was free. I think it was free.
Oh, wow, that's great.
I think he did it for free. I mean, if he didn't, it was like $100 or something like that. But nobody knew what it was, you know. And I mean, so we had this website in the ether, but no one probably. I mean, probably in that year before AOL launched, probably 3 people visited the website, you know what I mean? Because there was nobody that had the vehicle to actually surf the web. And then of course AOL came, and so we were really early adopters there, and I always embraced the internet. Obviously we were, really one of the first people on MySpace, which was the first social network. Then obviously Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and everything else. We were really early adopters on all those, if not the first people. We were, we were the first people to launch a YouTube show about reptiles. There was no one else. And yeah, I mean, being that front runner, you do get a lot of bullseyes on your back. But as it went on, like I said, I didn't stop. I didn't want to stop. I mean, from SnakeBytes, was one thing to launching the vlog was a completely different thing to probably, if I look at the vlog from day one till now, we probably have went through 5 iterations of what we wanted the vlog to look like. And we're still always tinkering and trying to do better. Now, obviously, fish have become a big part of and the aquarium has become a big part of our vlog. Not that I'm trying to get away from reptiles at all. It's just that, now that is, that's where my life is right now. And ultimately, doing fish, mammals, and reptiles all on one channel is what I wanted to end up being. And it will be when the LegaSea is open.
Yeah. I was going to think, oh man, this happened right now. My mind always does this at least once an episode. I didn't want to do it on this episode, but it already went.
No, don't worry about it, man.
But okay, I was gonna think to myself, Brian, you were obviously like ahead of the curve with the that guy told you about the internet, right? Like, hey, give you heads up, here's the internet. Who gave you the heads up on YouTube? Like, who gave you you should probably get on this, or like what made you tell yourself I need to start YouTube? Because I feel like you're way ahead of the game on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, first off, nobody started it, like, to tell me. But
Right.
then there was I was back then in 2008, late 2007. We were pitching a sizzle reel to try to do a reality TV show, with Discovery, and we had interest from Discovery Channel, History Channel, a whole bunch of different networks. And I remember a friend of mine who I knew, named Dave Seeger. Was in LA, and he was, just like a freelance editor, photographer, cinematographer, he was doing short videos on YouTube. And I contacted him and I said, hey, listen, I'm thinking, I was going out to Anaheim for the NARBC way back when it was in Anaheim. And I said, hey, I'm thinking about shooting this show. Would you shoot it and edit for me? And he was like, yeah, sure, no problem. So him and another guy showed up at the Anaheim show, and we shot the very first SnakeBytes episode at that show. And I can't even remember exactly what it was. I just remember I watched it maybe like 5 years ago, and it was like the most cringe thing I ever seen in my life. It's just like, I was so uncomfortable. It was not well done. It was like 3 minutes long, a 3-minute video. But anyways, he contacted me, and he started working with this company called Next New Networks. And Next New Networks was run by a guy named Fred Seibert, who actually, do you know the cartoon Fairly Odd Parents?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So Fred actually owned Fairly Odd Parents. That was his cartoon, amongst other cartoons. He did other cartoons as well. But Fred started this company called Next New Networks. And weirdly enough, Dave put me in touch with Fred. And Fred contacted me and said, hey, listen, we you got to remember, YouTube, number one, there was no money in YouTube. There was no partner program. There was no ad revenue sharing, none of that stuff on YouTube at the time. And it was really just all like cute cat videos and funny little short clips of things and stuff like that. And Fred was like, hey, we want to put together a roster of shows, like almost like 3 to 5 minute TV shows once a week. And he said, would you, he goes, I've always been interested in snakes. He said, I think that a snake show on YouTube that is managed by Next New Networks would be great. I said, let's do it, And so Dave Seeger, who was, again, in LA, but his family was from the Detroit area, agreed with Fred that they would fly him out here like once a month. We'd shoot 4 episodes. He would edit it and put it up on the internet for me. So that's kind of how SnakeBytes started, was that. And then ultimately we ended up, we were with Next New Networks for about a year. And during that time, Next New Networks, they were paying us $300 a week is what we paid. So they wanted a 3 to 5 minute episode, and they would pay us $300 a week. And so we did it. But by 2009, we were invited into the partner program with YouTube, which again wasn't a lot, like big money at all. It was very small money, probably less than $300 a week. Actually, I think it was maybe we're making $500 to $700 a month, something like that, on the YouTube partner program at the time. But what ended up happening was Next New Networks ended up getting bought out by Google. So Fred ended up getting bought out by Google for $100 million.
Wow.
And then for a while, it was actually a division of Google called Next Lab. That was a division of YouTube, and then it just kind of went away. I mean, over a couple of years, it just kind of went away. But once Next New Network sold out to YouTube, I was no longer involved, and I was on my own. So by 2009, I had to start producing my own stuff, getting my own camera guys, editors, so on like that. But that's how SnakeBytes got started. And I'll tell you really quick, it's interesting that the name SnakeBytes, we kept on, we were trying to figure out a name for our show, this snake show. And we had, Next New Network was working on it. We had other companies working on it, and they were all coming up with stuff like Snake Pit and this and, all kinds of weird stuff. And so we had our first episode, which was the Anaheim episode. And literally Dave Seeger sent me it, by then, there was like really great internet transfer services. So he would literally overnight me a cassette that I would, like a little DV, mini DV that I would then have to upload to YouTube that way. And he just titled it on the package, SnakeBytes. And that was like, it was like, cause it was like, snake and then bites, like BYTES.
Yeah.
And immediately I was like, oh my God, that's the name. SnakeBytes TV, and so that's how we got started on YouTube, and it's been a wild ride ever since. Obviously, it's had lots of ups and downs, but I couldn't. I mean, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for YouTube. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, one thing I want to for sure ask you was when that financial corner changed with YouTube. Like, when did holy shit, I'm getting this YouTube money? Because obviously, I mean, I don't know specifics. We never even talked about that ever, even hanging out. But I know firsthand that YouTube was a huge help on you even getting to where you're at with the Reptarium, the LegaSea. And I want to know, when did that happen, and how did you feel? How did you take that in? How did you holy shit, what is going on here?
I can tell you the exact date. It was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, 2016. Is when it happened. Okay. And it was so I launched my vlog channel the summer of 2016. We started out vlogging just once a week, then we went to 3 times a week, then we went to 5 times a week. And the day before Thanksgiving, we had which we shot a couple days earlier, say like Monday, we shot Lucy, my big reticulated python, escaped. And I almost didn't film it, because I was, now at this point, when I started my vlog channel, I was a one-man team. I was filming, editing, uploading. I had nobody on staff at all. It was just me. I had already moved past all my editors and filmers, and it was literally me holding a camera, I had like 3 different G7X cameras, and it was just me doing everything myself. And so one of my workers, I came in on that morning, on a Monday morning, and they were like, Lucy's out. We don't know where she's at.
Oh, wow. I remember that.
And I was literally like, should I grab a camera or shouldn't I grab a camera? And so I grabbed the camera, and we went looking for her, and it took us all of 3 minutes to find her. I mean, she was a 18-foot python. She was crammed up in a duck, up in a little duct system, and on top of a Freedom Breeder rack. And so I positioned the cameras as we continued to try to get her out. And she's striking, and she's going crazy, and she's going absolutely nuts. And I remember editing that Tuesday morning, and I still was really on the fence if I was going to release it. I'm like, gosh, is this something that I want to release? That I was so, I was so irresponsible that I let an 18-foot python out. And you know what I mean? I didn't know that I wanted that message to be out there, but I decided to upload it on Wednesday. And we were getting probably, now don't get me wrong, we were going for, like I said, for a few months, 3-4 months, and we were doing much better on the vlog channel than we were on SnakeBytes, because SnakeBytes was just once a week,
right? And
there really wasn't that much money in it. The vlog channel was already making okay money, not like change your life money, but okay, I'm doing all right type of money. Right. But that day, which was, I uploaded Tuesday, went live Wednesday, and that video got 1.5 million views in one day. And I remember seeing the analytics on Thanksgiving. And by the way, at that time we were still 5 days a week. At that moment, I was like, I'm going 7 days a week from not skipping a day. And we went, almost 5 years never skipping a day after from the day before Thanksgiving until 5 years later. We never skipped a day. But I remember literally punching up my analytics on Thanksgiving, and I knew I had to film and edit now on Thanksgiving because I wasn't going to take any days off. But that video of Lucy that day made $3,500.
Oh,
That in
God.
one day, and then like the next video got like 200 and something thousand views, didn't go as viral. But then the next day, the Friday video went viral again and got like 2 million views. And so that video, so now all of a sudden I'm getting money from the first video that went viral. I did pretty good on the second video, which was Thanksgiving. And then I did really good on the next video. And I didn't sustain that level because obviously every video isn't going to get 1 million plus views. But as your catalog grows, you go from getting, 300,000 views a month to 1 million views a month to 5 million views a month to 12 million views a month to 30 million views a month. And it becomes pretty substantial money at that point. And so still to this day, like we don't have the virility that we had back in the beginning when Lucy, escaped. We rarely have videos that break 1 million views now. We got a lot of videos that do 200, 300, 400,000 views, and every now and then we'll have 1 million view video. But it's the consistency of that 100,000 views almost every day, and then your back catalog getting millions of views as well. And so, but that was the day that YouTube changed my life. And I remember, it was a weird time because you would think it would be like, I finally made it and this is all my dreams have come true. I remember being like stressed out beyond belief.
Yeah.
Like stressed out beyond belief. I mean, it was probably like a week or two after, that Thanksgiving, things calmed down and went back. But the thing is we went from like getting maybe 20,000 views of vlog to then settling into 80 to 100,000 views of vlog.
Yeah.
Even after the virility kind of, faded a little bit. And then we were still like, it seemed like every 2 or 3 weeks we'd get 1 million or 2 million view video, or sometimes even a 10 million view video. That YouTube is different now. It's hard to do that now on YouTube. It really is. But we but that was the day it changed. And really, it's been a very, extremely, it's been my most profitable business since that day, on.
I have an idea, but I don't know as much as you because I don't have any the closely analytics that you've seen and what you've dealt with, because I can only imagine those numbers must be insane. But that must have put you on some sort of high, man. Almost like a drug in a sense, like a drug that makes you feel like you said, you made it, right? But then you're only as good as your last video, right? Like in a sense, like you put something out that's not as good and it changes everything. And then there was obviously a point in time with YouTube where it's getting a lot harder to get remotely close the amount of views that you were once getting. And I know that gets harder and harder to like, fuck, what do we do? And I don't know how you survived and being able to do what you did to this day without going back to old Brian. Like you never, like you graduated on to do new inspiring things to where people really can't talk shit. Like, what are you? I mean, you took RJ to Petco. I thought that was awesome, by the way.
Yeah. Our trips to Petco always do well. Yeah. Yeah.
But like, would you agree though, man? Like that YouTube could really fuck with you like that. Like YouTube could really make this life seem like, because I mean, I've seen YouTubers like FaZe Clan people and like people making millions, but dude, these people's lives are fucked up now. And it's like, they don't even know how to sustain the life that they had when they were making millions a month. And it's like, that's kind of a scary thing, right?
It is. It's it's a life that's not for everybody because, like you said, it's a very volatile life. I mean, one month you're crushing, the next month you're down 25%, and you don't know why, and you're trying to figure out, what am I doing wrong, or should I change things? And ultimately, I think for me, it gets down to the fact that like I just want to do what I love doing. I want to film what I love filming. I want to inspire people. I want to educate people. I want to have fun doing it. And now I don't pay attention as much about the bottom line. I pay more attention to the analytics side that doesn't have to do with money than I do the money side. You know, the money is kind of just like if I'm looking at all my analytics, which I do often,
Right.
almost every day, I the last analytic thing I look at is money. I'm looking at watch time. I'm looking at, you know, average view duration. I'm looking at views. I'm looking at, you know, all these types of metrics that are the important things about YouTube and how to do YouTube right. And then the money part just, you know, is what it is, you know, and you know, so it is, but you know, the only reason I want to keep making money is to support my family, and then also, you know, support, you know, although, you know, Animal Bites TV, which is the company that you know is my media company, you know, we only have really 2 employees, which is Noah, my son, and Jay Tomsky. You know, those are the only 2 employees in that company. Although there's still other expenses, but those are my 2 main employees in that company. So we keep that company's expenses pretty soft compared to a lot of our stuff. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't do the LegaSea. I couldn't have done the Reptarium without it. You know, I mean, not even close. And that was the dream, right? It's like I always tell people, little Brian didn't dream about breeding snakes. You know, little Brian dreamt about owning a reptile zoo. You know, that's what the dream was. But I didn't have the financial means and maybe even the following to pull it off until YouTube, you know, treated me good. And then I had the finances and I had the you know, outreach to be able to make the Reptarium a success. And then, you know, and then amongst other things, you know, obviously the Reptarium, BHB, Animal Bites, a handful of other business stuff that we do, you know, with all of those success combined, then you could do a project like the LegaSea Aquarium that is next level. I mean, it's just, you know, something that I couldn't even have imagined in my life that I could do. And I'm still at this time in my life still surprised that we're doing it. And especially in the, you know, health situation I'm in right now.
Can we talk about Lori real quick? I love Lori, and I just there's
absolutely
stuff I want to bring up regarding Lori, the queen in my eyes.
That's my dog.
There you go. There, you know. But I'll never forget the impact Lori had on me just meeting her, like just seeing, you know, her walk through a door, right? Because, you know, I've seen her through vlogs. You know, the little slight little, you know, back you approaching her, you know, kind of her getting on your ass about things. Like I always loved that dynamic with you two. But then seeing her in person, I realized, oh my God, this girl runs a show. Like she is a huge force. Like this is like, she has like this aura around her. And I man, that inspired me and Lily so much. And I remember after meeting Lori in person, I went back to Lily and I'm like, you need to meet Bart. Because she was like, man, I can't believe you're going to go see Brian. I'm like, yeah. I was like, I'm going to go see his family. I'm going to go to his house. And I remember telling her everything and all this stuff. And I'm like, you need to meet this Lori Barczyk, because, you know, God bless Lily. I put her through the ringer when we first got together, ex-drug dealer, partier, DJ, and like lie. You know, I did a little bit of lying, never cheated, but man, you know, I still lied on some things to where like make her like question what is this guy up to, right? But then after she met you guys and after she just saw what it was that just made me so inspired, it literally made a switch. It changed everything. Even changed the way how I approach Lily and how I like tell her like, this is what I want to do. Because in the beginning, Brian, I never told her about shit. I just did mean like, you know, and she was always like wondering, what are you doing with that money and whatever, you know? But I want to ask you, like, are you happy with the way things have always been communicated with you and Lori as far as partnership goes, and like and where do you feel like a lot of that really gotten strong at? Like, because you guys are high school sweethearts, right? Yeah. So I'm sure there was a time and place where you guys looked at each other and said, well, this is going to go somewhere and we need to fucking come together. And I'm wondering when that was, and you know, and if you're happy on how things progressed since then and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously I tell this to people all the time that none of my business's success would be there without Lori. Like right. She is the person that made every single thing that we do successful. I'm a visionary, and you know, but I'm not a detail guy, right? What I always explain to people is that, you know, I can see A and I can see Z, but the alphabet's very fuzzy to me, right? Lori is really good at the alphabet, right? You know, she's good at making sure that we get from A to Z, and so I'm an idea guy, you know. I mean, I have a million ideas. Some are good, some are terrible. You know, we've made a lot of money on some ideas. We've made, you know, gotten completely destroyed on other ideas. And you know, but Lori's always been supportive of me in almost everything that I've done. You know, that doesn't mean that doesn't come with some battles, you know, and some arguments and some, you know, disagreements along the way. But the one thing that she's always done in the 35 years that we've been together has been supportive of the things that I'm really passionate about. And you know, and that's why it's important for me to make sure that, you know, she's okay if I'm not here. And and listen, you know, there's part of me that questions my decisions, and sometimes I think maybe the legacy, although our legacy, like I said earlier, you know, was selfish of me. And what I mean by that is, you know, we were financially really in good spot in life, right? You know, we have no debt. We had, you know, a good chunk of money in the bank, more than Lori would ever need to live. You know, we have, I mean, you know, I mean, we have virtually not, I mean, like the house I'm sitting in right now, we don't have a payment on, you know, I mean, I have two other houses. One's a rental and one's another house that we have in Grand Rapids, Michigan, that we do owe money on. But other than that, we don't have car payments. We don't have credit card debt. We don't have any of that stuff. And for me to risk every penny that we have to do the LegaSea Aquarium, in hindsight, you know, do I think that it's kept me going? And do I think that I'm still kicking today because of it? I do think it's helped, right? From a selfish standpoint, I think that it's give me reason to wake up in the morning. You know, yes, there's stress and there's a lot of pressure, but it's given me reason to wake up in the morning. But at the same time, I put Lori's future in jeopardy, right? You know, like now she's no longer in a position where she has enough money to survive no matter what. So, you know, the legacy has to be successful or Lori's in trouble.
Was the Reptarium pretty scary to do too, though? Like, I remember it was kind of like, I remember you know, you tell me about the 2.0, the 3.0 launch, and a lot of fucking money going into that. And I know we're talking a whole nother beast now, but I always felt like that's always the thing with you, Brian. Like you accomplished one thing and here we go. Here's another thing. And yeah, quite the jump to do legacy, but man, this is the dream, man.
It's always been our mantra in everything, you know, Lori and I both, you know, that we've always just kind of risked everything and kept moving forward. And yeah, you know, 1.0, Reptarium 1.0, we were broke when I opened the doors, we were broke. 2.0, we spent almost, I wasn't broke, but we spent almost everything we had to do 2.0. And then we had, you know, a few years of really a lot of prosperity. You know, like I said, not only did BHB do very well over that period of time, the Reptarium was crushing, Animal Bites was crushing, a couple other businesses we had were crushing, and so we were, you know, we got into a financial position that was like, you know, we had never been in before, you know, because we'd always, you know, I mean, we never came from money. We would be, I would say in the 35 years, probably 30 of those 35 years, we were probably broke, you know, I mean, completely broke. I mean, we'd had assets and we had, you know, businesses that were generating 7-digit income, but we were putting every dollar we had into the next project, the next division, whatever it was. And Lori always allowed me to do that, which is, you know, crazy to think about. But this, yeah, like you said, this is next level because, you know, this is like, you know, spending $5.5 million. I mean, you know,
they always say the fish game is no joke, right? Like, but like you're trying to do a fucking mini SeaWorld, if not SeaWorld. Like it's insane, bro.
It's way more than I knew it was going to be more, and I knew it was going to be intense, but it's more intense than I expected, and but it's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. I truly believe, and obviously we wouldn't have done this if we didn't believe it was going to be successful. And Lori and I, this was when we got to remember we started when I, you know, before my health diagnosis. You know, we traveled around the country to a bunch of aquariums, you know, private aquariums, and met with tons of people, you know, tons of owners. And they were all really great to talk financing with us, you know, how much money they make, how much, you know, all this other stuff. So we felt comfortable with like, all right, we can risk everything. But you got to remember that was when I was healthy. You know, so the thing with 1.0, 2.0, and almost everything I've always done, I've always said, like, if I'm healthy, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to grind, and I'm going to make it good. This is the first project that, like, I can't do everything I want to do. You know what I mean? Like, I physically just can't do the things that I want to do anymore.
Yeah.
And then also, you know, keeping in mind that there's a chance that at some point, um, that I might not be there at all. You know, might not be there at all to help promote, to get people through the door. And listen, I've grown a tremendous team around me. Lori included, obviously, but Chuck, my COO, Tyler, my GM, you know, Jay Tingle, and I mean, I don't want to. I could go on for an hour telling names, but
Right.
everybody from my educational staff to my keepers, Mike and Connie, we built a team that I think can achieve all the goals that I want to achieve and keep that legacy going, i.e. Walt Disney, when I'm not here, if I'm not here, I should say. And listen, you know, I mean, so I've been off of treatment for 3 months because it stopped working, right? Which was a bummer because I went through the first chemotherapy I went through was a chemotherapy called FOLFIRINOX. So FOLFIRINOX is a combination of 3 chemotherapies that is the worst course of chemotherapy that you can have, the number 1 worst that they have. Okay, there's not another one higher. It's like the worst you could possibly get. And I was on that for 2 months, and it just wasn't working. You know, it wasn't working. So with pancreatic cancer, there's only one other FDA approved treatment, and that's it's called Gemzar Abraxane. And when I started, and that's, by the way, the second worst chemo you can do. So FOLFIRINOX number 1, number 2, Gemzar Abraxane. And the good news is I was on that for 4 months, but the first 2 months it started to work. My tumors were shrinking. You know, I was feeling the pain that I was feeling had subsided to where I could really hardly. I was feeling horrible because of the chemotherapy, but I was actually, you know, getting healthier. You know, things were progressing, and unfortunately, around that 3.5 month mark, things started to turn the other way, and my doctor said, you know, there's no sense in going on with the treatment, that it's not working anymore. And I remember asking him, I said, well, why would the chemo work and then stop working? And he said, 100% of the time the chemo will stop working. It's just a matter of when. He said, some people it works for 2 or 3 months, some people it works for 2 or 3 years.
Oh, wow.
He goes, but the cancer will always get better than the chemotherapy. He said, 100% of the time you will have to stop the treatment and go to some other treatment. Unfortunately, there were no other treatments. So I was off. I've been off 3 months. The first month was obviously recuperating from still having the chemo, right? You know, I mean, I was feeling better, but I wasn't feeling great. Well, after about a month, I didn't have hardly any pain because the chemo had still shrunk the tumors enough where it wasn't pain, a little bit, but not much.
Right.
And then I started feeling more myself. My hair started to grow back, started to get a beard again. You know, I was feeling much better. And for about a month, that was the case. You know, for about a month, I would go to work and I'd work all day again. You know, I mean, I'd literally go in the morning and I'd work all day till the evening, and it was like the old Brian, you know. And I was gaining some weight, and my appetite was better, and then about a month ago hit, and things went the other way, and pretty rapidly, quite frankly. I went from feeling good to feeling more and more pain every day. Not feeling energy at all. You know, it was scary, you know, and it is still scary to this day, because you don't know what's next. And I told you, and I posted obviously on Twitter, and which got shared on Facebook too, that today I was finally accepted into a phase 2 trial. It'll probably start in about 3 weeks or so, 2, 3, 4 weeks max. It's scary. It's scary to go back into a treatment. It's not chemotherapy. It's called targeted therapy, immunotherapy. But, you know, I mean, I've read all about the side effects, and, you know, obviously, I don't think it's going to be as bad as the chemotherapy, but it's not going to be good. It's going to be, I mean, there's some pretty bad side effects, but it's one of those things that it could save my life, or it could not work, whichever the case may be. And so you got to battle, and this is the thing, is like, until you're in my shoes, you don't really know what you're going to do, right? I remember saying years ago that if I was ever diagnosed with cancer, I would not go through treatment. And then I got diagnosed, and you start thinking about your family. And the one thing that I'd never wanted my family, and also all the people that support me and friends and everything, is I never want them to think I was a quitter. I want them to think I'd fight. And so I'm fighting. And do I want to fight? No. Do I want to just have it over with? Yeah. I mean, dude, it's so much more painful and hard mentally, physically, than anyone can imagine. I mean, like, you wake up in the morning and it's everything to get out of bed, and there's certain parts of the day that are so excruciating. It happened today. I was at work, and within 3 minutes, I went from like having a little bit of pain to having tears run down my face, and barely being able to stand up, and people don't see that. And I don't want people to see that, but it's brutal. It's brutal, man. It's so much harder than I thought it was going to be when I got diagnosed, 10 months ago. Every aspect of it, the treatment's been harder, the symptoms have been harder, the mental grind has been tougher. And listen, every day you think about your mortality, you can't not, you can't, no person's going to wake up and think that, hey, guess what? I just had Thanksgiving and it might be my last Thanksgiving. Today we went and got our tree. We always get Lori loves trees. For those of you guys that don't know, she usually puts up, 9, 10 Christmas trees a year.
Loves Christmas.
She loves Christmas, and she loves it. And I love it because of that. I was never a big Christmas person, but I've fallen in love with Christmas because of really my family's love. Noah, Jade, and Lori all love Christmas so much. And so I've fallen in love with Christmas as well. And we always get one live tree, the rest are artificials, but we get it. And, listen, it's hard because you think, is this the last tree I'm going to ever get?
No.
And it's a mental job that is like, listen, I think that I'm as mentally tough as it gets, and I don't know how I'm getting through it. And so I feel my empathy for other people that are going through similar things to me is ridiculous. You got to remember, I'm going through this, but at the same time, I've got a great family.
Yeah.
I've got
beautiful family.
Yeah, beautiful family. I've got amazing friends. I've got amazing crew. I've got millions of people that pray for me every day, and so I'm blessed. There are people that are going through exactly what I'm going through that have absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
You can't. No one could hold a job with what I'm going through. No one's got a job. I mean, you couldn't. There's no way. I mean, do I work every day? Yeah, but I'm an idiot. I won't let myself not work. But even then, I can't work a normal 8-hour shift. I mean, how do normal people survive this? And it's those are the people that I pray for every day.
Yeah.
Because I have it good compared to them, and I pray. Listen, do I think I'm going to make it? I really don't know. But I do know this. If I do, it's going to be a hell of a testimony. It's going to be a hell of a testimony.
I can't wait for that podcast.
Could you imagine, could you imagine next year's Animal Con, me standing on stage and proclaiming I'm cancer free, and
it's going to happen. I know it.
I pray it does, man. But it's in the 10 months I've been going through this, not quite 10 months, but getting it close to it, I really haven't had much good news. Almost every doctor's appointment's bad news, one thing or another. So it's hard to keep optimism,
Yeah.
but again, that's enough about that. I mean, you know, I just have to keep focusing on the future and focusing on this dream that I'm trying to achieve right now. I want to be there. We're probably 2.5 months, if worst case scenario, 3 months away from opening, hopefully 2.5 months. There's a couple things that are outside my control, that I hope will not screw me, um, as far as timing goes. Just a couple exhibits, that until they show up, we're in trouble. I think we will be ready to go in 2.5 months minus 2 exhibits. Those 2 exhibits may show up, they may not show up. I have no idea in time. But I think we'll be there, and I just want to be standing there in decent enough shape to be greeting everybody when we open those doors. And that's my focus. That's my focus, is to get to that point right now. And we also, obviously, right about the same exact time as the LegaSea hopefully will open. Obviously, we have our 3rd grandson, which it's Noah's baby.
Congrats, Noah, man. You did it, buddy.
And it's his name is Cameron Michael Brian Barczyk.
Love it. Love that middle name, man. I love it. That's epic.
So
Man, that's awesome.
It's really touching that he would name his son after me.
Yeah. Why else? Who else not? Like, you understand how much I love Noah, man. What a kid, bro. I mean, he's not too much of a kid anymore, but
yeah,
fuck, I always like, this is special. This guy has something special in him, and it's just, you guys always been the ultimate duo to me, especially when he was more involved with the vlogging and he had his own thing, and we're talking future, and I would probably get scolded if I didn't bring up Noah and ask how Noah's doing, and where are things at with Noah, and potentially being a part of the LegaSea and or even the vlog or any of that.
It's a good question, and I mean, only Noah can really answer that. But I think that Noah, this has affected him hard, as you can imagine. Not knowing if your dad's going to be around is really difficult. And he's been, he's taken it pretty difficult. So he stepped back away from it because I think him being around it all the time was too difficult for him. He still edits the vlog every day, which is great. He wants to be his own man too. So I don't know, the door is always open for him if he decides to be part of the future. I think that he'll be part of the future at some stage for sure. Will he be a leader with Lori? I don't know. I don't know. I think this is going to be hard for him. If it doesn't work out, it's going to be really tough on him. It's going to be tough on everyone. See, this is the thing, guys. It's like, I've said this before. It's like when my pain ends, everyone else's begins.
I mean, what would the world be like without Brian Barczyk, bro? I don't want to know. I don't want to know that life at all. Like, I don't even want to wake up knowing that. Like, it's your vlogs. Like I tell you religiously, me and my son watch your vlogs. A lot of it because we want to know what's up with the LegaSea. Like everyone's on edge on that. But really, it's just that voice, that face, man. You have been made in someone's living room on a regular basis for so many years now. Yeah. And I can't imagine not having those mornings. You know what I mean? I can't imagine not having those mornings. And I know they would never leave in a sense, right? But I just don't know. I can't see this world without you, buddy. I really can't.
Well, I thank you, and I pray that I'll be around. That's up to God. And I'm doing everything I can do on my end, and then now it's God's decision what He wants to do. But yeah, the vlog will go on. 100%. You know, we've got great people. You know, Lori has said, you know, we talked about it just today, that she wants to start being more involved in the vlog.
Yeah. I love, oh, please, Lori. Oh man, nobody could get enough of Lori. We would,
Yeah, she's
man,
wonderful.
she changes everything when Lori's in the vlog. She
Yeah.
really does.
She's great, you know, and I know she's busy and she's got a lot going on, but you know, if we have to make that transition to me not being in the vlog, and that may be not just, you know, me not being around, it may just be that I can't physically be in the vlog for a period of time. You know, I don't know. But you know, having the familiar faces, obviously Mike is great, Connie is great, Lori is
Can
great.
I just say, Mike and Connie, that's a great dynamic right there. They I'll be breaking up some rough mornings, Barczyk, with my kid, and just not, you know, sleepless, but I'll just watch them go at it, and it's awesome.
Yeah, we love them, and they're great people too, you know, on and off camera. They're amazing people. And so, you know, we've got the people there. I mean, Jay Tomsky, Jay Tingle, you know, we've got the people there, Jessica, you know, that can carry the vlog. But I realize it would be different than if I wasn't there. And you know, yeah, and I've been making I hope nobody ever sees it, but yeah, I've been making clips. Now, I haven't told anyone this, by the way. I've been making clips since the beginning for a vlog if I lose the battle. So there will be one last goodbye if it comes to that. And,
If
let's hope it doesn't. But you know, I you know, listen, you know, everybody that supports me has changed my life, you know, like you were saying, you know, that, you know, when did it become a financially successful thing, you know, and that, you know, Thanksgiving Eve changed my life forever. And it allotted me the opportunity to do things I never thought in a million years I could do. And I'm still doing them, right? You know, I mean, it's like, I know I wanted to talk about this just because let's just jump into the topic,
right.
because of, you know, me, you know, I know I shocked a lot of people when I announced that we launched a cannabis brand.
Oh yeah. I mean, hey, I mean, you know me, I was pretty excited.
Yeah. And so it's, again, you know, we could never have done that, you know, and I think, you know, people that don't know, I don't smoke. I don't partake in
no
any
drugs for Brian at all. I tried.
yeah, you know, well, now it's like, now I'm taking some pain meds, which is
Right.
difficult for me. It was a really hard thing. And I suffered a long time before I started taking them. And sometimes, like last night, they didn't work at all. I mean, there was no, I could have probably taken a bottle of them and it wouldn't have worked. But most days it does help. Most days it helps. I don't like it, but you know, it's better than walking around barely being able to do anything. So, but anyways, my point is, I've always been very intrigued with the cannabis world. It's always been something that I've just been very interested in, even though, and I do think that there's some amazing medical triumphs, including cancer. That you know, THC has been, and CBD as well, has been known to do so. So it's what we're calling a conscious brand. Conscious cannabis is what we call it.
Right.
And what that means is it's cannabis with a cause, right? So it's not like you're just buying cannabis, you're actually buying the cause, which is to bring awareness to pancreatic cancer and also the LegaSea Aquarium. And I feel very privileged to be with a group of people, much like our other businesses, that are great at what they do. Again, I've never tried it because I don't smoke, but I've been told, and I can't wait for you to try it, because I've been told by a couple of my close friends that are, you know, smoke every day. And,
Brian, you had Sada Baby. I don't know if you know. I mean, I listened to that guy. Sada Baby's a rapper who stopped by the Reptarium, but he came from the cannabis homies, or where did he come from?
Yeah, he came from the cannabis guys, and amongst a whole ton of other
That
celebrities.
weed has to be good then. Those guys only smoke good. They only smoke the best weed. So that's a good sign right there.
Yeah, and those guys, when they showed up, they smoke a lot of weed. I mean, we had tons and tons of samples.
It's like a bunch of MJs, huh? All MJs in one big party, one big group.
It's crazy. You know, we had I wasn't at it because of, you know, I wasn't feeling up to it, but
Right.
there was a kind of cannabis release party as well a few weeks ago, and a bunch of big celebrities, you know, Sada Baby was there, but a bunch of other big celebrities were there, sports stars, stuff like that. And and yeah, we gave away 2,000 pre-rolls that day.
Wow.
So yeah,
2,000 pre-rolls.
2,000 pre-rolls went out the door that day, amongst other samples that we had as well. But you know, like I said, it's just the reason I wanted to talk about it is because I realize it's a weird off brand for me,
Right.
because you know I am very much into educating children and kids and stuff like that. So I'm careful with how I brand that. You know, I don't want to have, you know, it's not going to be in our gift shop. It's not going to be, you know, like front and center where like kids like, you know, will be seeing what I'm doing or anything like that. But at the same time, I'm not embarrassed of it. I'm very much proud of it, and I think it's going to be a great, you know, revenue source, and also, you know, an opportunity. You know, listen, when people fly into or drive into to Michigan, you know, a lot of states aren't legal. Michigan's full recreational. You know, you're 18 years old, you can buy. So when people come to the Reptarium, they always are blown away that there's dispensaries right down the street. You know, and now those dispensaries are carrying LegaSea cannabis. So now when you know people come to town, they can not only indulge, but they can indulge in our brand to support our cause, which is really what the biggest issue is. And like I said, not only will it support the LegaSea, but it also, you know, I mean, a lot of things we're doing, you know, with the LegaSea as well as cannabis is like I said, bringing hopefully money and as well as attention to pancreatic cancer. And I think that that's really important to do. So yeah, so it's again, it's a little bit off brand, it's a little wild, but I didn't want to not bring it up because I don't want people to think I'm hiding from it. And I'm sure that, you know, there's always going to be detractors out there that complain about, oh, can you believe Brian's doing this now or something like that, you know, but I don't care about any of that. I'm doing it for my family. I'm doing it for my future, our futures. And I'm excited about it and I'm super proud. But what I was saying is that two of my friends that smoke daily, I gave samples to, and they both told me it was some of the best weed they'd ever smoked in their life. So I was really happy. Now, the guys we hooked up with, they kept telling me that. They're like, hey, listen, this is like as premium as you can get. So,
There you go.
as a matter of fact, like, you know, so the guy that's really behind everything, you know, I mean, he works with like, you know, Calvin Johnson, you know, they work with them, you know, which of course is the, you know, Hall of Fame NFL guy, Darren McCarty from the Red Wings, you know, I mean, it's like, you know, these guys work with big name people. And so I've got a great group of people for that too. So we're excited about that.
Now, Brian, I will say that you were very careful at one point about like partnering up with something like that, you know, like even before how popular weed is now.
Yeah.
But do you feel like because you were careful with stuff like that and you always made it a family friendly channel that has a lot to do with your success on YouTube, because you always made it welcoming? Because like with me, right, I started this podcast and I let it be known, don't let your kids around this because this is me. Right. And I feel like I'm almost kind of capping myself in a sense by being that way, but that's okay with me. But with you, do you feel like if you were to just from the beginning just been like, well, let me add a weed brand or let me, you know, all this freely stuff, do you think that would have, you know, stopped you from growing so much?
I think it could have hurt at some point. You know, I think now it's a little bit different, you know, because I think that, you know, weed and cannabis is now looked at differently. You know, it's no different than like I about a year and a half ago, I was in talks with a guy that wanted to do a tequila brand with us.
Okay.
And I got pretty deep into talks with him. He wanted it was going to be called Viper Tequila, and it was going to have my name on it by Brian Barczyk. And ultimately we decided not to do it because we felt that it was just where this guy wanted to go with it, I felt was too high end. You know, like if we were producing a tequila brand of, you know, let's say quality tequila, but it was, you know, $30 a fifth or $50 a fifth or whatever it is, I would have been okay with it and I would have probably went forward with it. But he wanted to do this like premium where it was like $200 a fifth. And I'm like, well, I just can't get behind that. You know what I mean? That's like not what, you know, my brand is not such that we're going to sell $200 bottles of liquor. But I think that now cannabis and liquor is kind of in the same category, right? You know, it's, you know, and not federally, but you know, certainly state by state. And I think there's so many states now that are legal either recreational or medicinal now. As a matter of fact, I think there's very few states that aren't at least medical, but many of them are recreational, like Michigan. That there's not that like, oh my God, it's a drug. It's like it's a recreational drug, just like alcohol is a recreational drug. And so yeah, I think that if I would have launched this 3 years ago, there was a different stigma behind it, and I don't think it would have been a good idea for me. But now I think it's the right time, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully it'll be cool. But I just didn't want to hide from it, and because we're on a podcast, I could talk openly. I can talk about it and not let people think that like somehow like, oh, well, Brian's trying to sneak this by without people knowing about it. I'm proud of all our businesses. I mean, every business that we have, I'm proud of, and we're still, we're still moving forward with a lot of things. I mean, there's some businesses that I wanted to launch that I now I'm not going to, just because obviously, we have enough going on, and I don't want to put more burden on Lori. So we're capped right now with this latest venture, and we might launch some jewelry stuff as well, that we're in talks with the company on. That looks pretty cool, but yeah, other than that, I think I'm pretty much just going to stay in my lane at this point.
Well, I mean, I don't know, Brian. At the end of the day, you do make some player decisions, and it's way player for you to go with cannabis versus alcohol. Alcohol trash. I'm sorry, but I get it. People could casually drink. I'm not a casual drinker. If I drink, I drink. And then I wake up feeling like shit the next day. Alcohol is ass. I'm sorry. It's not weed. Weed helps in a sense, I think.
That I agree with you on. I really do. Although I think there's probably still less stigma attached to alcohol than there is weed. I think that if my son, let's say, which he doesn't drink or do drugs, he used to smoke weed. He never drank much. I mean, casually, but I was always happier that he smoked weed than he drank. You know what I mean? I would always be like, hey, weed isn't going to hurt him. He's, he's not going to get addicted to it. He's not going to, ruin his life over weed. Whereas, alcohol, you can. I mean, and it's throughout my whole family. My brother, my dad, my uncles. I mean, everyone in my family had alcoholism, and that's why I never drank, is because of all the alcoholism in my family. So I agree with you on that level, that the better of two evils certainly is. And like you said, I think there's a little bit closer tie to me with the fact that I have cancer, because I know that THC has been so helpful for so many cancer patients. And I've dabbled in gummies, over the last 10 months. Never done them in my life, but I have now, and I'm probably not. I probably have never taken the right dosage to really make that much of effect, because it's always been like 2.5 milligrams or something like that, and I think that's just probably not big enough dosage to actually make a difference in my pain level or something on that lines. But it's exciting, and I think that the one thing that people know about me is like, I love building things. I love building the LegaSea Aquarium. I love building the Reptarium. I love building reptile cages. I love building businesses. I love all that stuff. So the cannabis to me is just another business that I can be excited about building and see where it goes as long as I'm around. And it kind of goes right into all the other stuff that I'm doing, and it's exciting. But there's no doubt that the aquarium is and reptile zoo is where my 99% of my days go right now.
That's the meat and potatoes.
That's the thing that I think for the next 40 years, for the rest of Lori's life, and if I'm so fortunate to live into my 90s, we will both reap the benefits, not just financially, but just emotionally, how amazing it'll be to see hundreds of thousands of people come through the door every year and see their eyes light up and offer them opportunities. And again, it's great. It's great team around, like Steve Bashy, who's my partner on the aquarium. I mean, he's an incredible person with incredible vision. Amazing at filtration, amazing at design. Without him, there's no way we could have done this. I mean, he brings so much expertise to the table. And then we've just been hiring people. We've got we actually have 3 marine biologists on staff now. So it's important to have great fish people on staff. It's like I told people, I can't take care of fish. I'll kill them quicker than anything, But
I'll
you know,
come because I want to hold them. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's not. I just don't know enough about fish, you know.
Yeah,
But
me
I
neither.
know they're cool, but I don't know how to take care of them. And so to have great people around me, it's going to be really good. And I think that's, you know, again, you know, like Jay Tomsky, my camera guy, like
Okay.
he always says that about me, is like, you know, I visualize things so well, you know. I mean, from the moment I got the building across the street, even when before my health diagnosis, you know, I visualized what the place was going to look like. You know, like I could literally physically, or, you know, mentally, I mean, I could walk through the place in my mind and smell the smells and hear the sounds and just feel the feeling, you know, in the air. And we're getting, you know, again, we're still a long ways off, but we're getting closer to that. Every day that goes by that we're getting closer to that goal is more exciting to me. And now it's just a matter of you know, staying healthy enough to get to that goal, you know, to be there on opening day. And but you know, listen, you know, in February, after talking to doctors, really March, by the time I talked to doctors, um, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think I'd be here for the holidays. You know, I didn't think I'd be here for the holidays. And
Yeah.
we've already, you know, passed Thanksgiving. I'm in decent shape. I'm not going to say I'm in the shape I want to be in, but I'm in decent shape. I'm getting a little thinner than what I'd like to get. You know, I maintained and even gained a little bit of weight recently, but now I've lost a few pounds over the last couple, 2-3 weeks. Probably has a lot to do with pain and some other things like that. That's not good. But you know, I think I'll definitely be here for Christmas, unless something dramatic happens that I'm not, you know, aware of. But you know, now I just, you know, my next goal after that would be to get to the end of February when we're open and also have Cameron, my grandson, born. And then after that, then we'll go to the next goal. And the next goal is, you got to remember, I was on a podcast early, when I told you I wasn't on any podcast. I was the only podcast I've done was early on in my diagnosis, and it was actually with a financial group of people called
I saw that.
GoBundance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I told Jamie Gruber, who is the host, that the day I was the most concerned about was the day that we opened the LegaSea. Because I said at that day, would I then have lost my purpose? You know, like, will okay, mission accomplished, and now I don't have anything to live for. And I think what's happened over the last several months is that, you know, you change your perspective so much on what matters, that now the meaning of my life is to be around my grandkids and around my family and to make memories. And I'm bummed right now. I'm supposed to be in Hawaii right now. My nephew Brandon is getting married this Friday. My sister lives in Hawaii. She has for 28 years. I'm very close to her. I talk to her literally every single day. And so Jade, my daughter, Michael, my son-in-law, and my two grandkids, Ben and Nathan, are all in Hawaii right now. We're all, and Lori and I were supposed to go on Monday. And obviously, I mean, we had we had flights booked for months, and obviously, you know, this weekend, I waited till the last minute, you know, but this weekend it was evident there was no way I'm going to make that trip. You know, there's just no way I could do it. And so it sucks that, you know, that's a memory I wish I could have had, you know, not for me, but for my family to have. Would have been great to see. I mean, I'm getting pictures of my grandkids on the beach, and by the way, my sister hooked it up. Oh my gosh, she works at the Hawaii Hilton.
Oh, wow. Oh yeah, perks.
And she so literally her, and I hope I'm not going to get anyone in trouble for saying this, but her general manager literally got the it's called the Elvis suite. So it's literally the suite that Elvis stayed in.
Oh
So
wow.
it's 2 bedrooms. One's a king bed, one's two doubles, and then there's literally like a living area that's probably like 1,200 square foot, just like, you know, like dining room, kitchen
In Hawaii.
in Hawaii. And so you can imagine there's this ginormous balcony that is like a quarter of the size of the hotel, that is all, theirs to hang out on and look at the ocean. And then of course they have the beach right out front of their place. So they're having a great time. But my point is that it's about memories. And now I'm no longer worried about my purpose after the LegaSea opens, because my purpose now isn't just about fulfilling a dream, but my purpose is about living every day the best I can and making the memories that matter to me with my family, and my friends and my loved ones. And so yeah, now the question is can I make, and this trial will be the difference. Not to, like I said, I'm not being dramatic when I say this. If I didn't get into this trial, so when I stopped treatment, not I stopped it, the doctor stopped it. I was praying that maybe, like, okay, well, we had some progress before. Maybe my body, as I'm getting more strength, my body will fight this off, and maybe I can go into remission. And that's what I thought. And for a month or so, I didn't know what was going on. I wasn't getting scans or anything like that. But I was feeling better. And I wasn't necessarily thinking like, oh, I'm beating it. I just thought that maybe there's a chance. I can tell you this much, like, if I didn't get back into treatment, I don't think I would make the LegaSea open. I think I'm at that stage. I think that in 3 to 4 weeks, the progression of this disease has been so significant that what will 2 months from now look like? And I don't like the idea of what I think that would look like. And I don't know that I would still be alive. And that goes back to what my oncologist told me, who's been pretty spot on with everything, by the way. And nobody knows everything, right? Nobody knows. No one can tell you your shelf life or anything like that. But he told me 3 to 6 months after treatment was the window. And
How many months are we now?
I'm sorry?
How many months are we since that treatment?
3 months. So we're in that window where it's not good. But I'm hopeful for this treatment. I still believe, God does miracles.
For sure.
And I believe that, I'm not done with this life. And I think that this life isn't done with me.
Oh, we're not done with you, buddy, at all. Hell no.
Yeah. I think the powers of the universe will do it. And I think God will, like I said, it'll be a great testimony, and I'll spend the rest of my life screaming at the top of my lungs, how good God is and how amazing of an experience it is. And, listen, I've had a blessed life, but I've also been through a lot, a lot. I've lived, pretty tough life here and there. And a lot of people don't realize how tough Laura and I've had it over our life. But I think that every battle that I've been given is developed me into the person that I am today. And that's why I'm so empathic with people, and I care so much about everybody, is because of all the hardships that I've been through in my life and the things that I've seen. And this is just, I think, if I'm so fortunate to get to the other side of this will be another thing I'll spend my whole life. It's kind of like anxiety, right? Like, I went through massive anxiety in the past, and then I was able to use that experience to help other people through anxiety. I didn't just sit on it and go, okay, now I'm better.
Yeah.
I would do everything I could do to help everyone I knew that had anxiety get through their anxiety. And I think that, that would be and that's the one thing I will say, is that I had a number of people that I still am in touch with, very consistently, that did reach out to me that were cancer survivors. And I'm not talking about and listen, I don't want to downplay any cancer. Any cancer is bad, but certain cancers are, there's 80-90% success rate. The people I'm talking to had 3-5%, success potential, and they made it. They got through it, and they've stayed in touch with me. And I think that's a testament to them, that they would, use, again, just like I told you, use that experience to help others. And I think if you don't, you shouldn't have ever went through it. You've got to use your experiences, good and bad, to get to the other side. And I'm praying that I'll have that opportunity. It's like I told Laura, I said, I probably will never start another business no matter what happens, whether I'm here or not here. Well, if I'm not here, I guess I don't get a chance to start a business. But if I'm here, I don't think I ever will. The only thing that I would do to add to my plate right now is probably public speaking. If I was to beat this, because I think that there would be a powerful testimony to help other people. And this is the thing, like, if you think about it, like, you didn't just survive a 3% survival rate. You grew a $5.5 million aquarium. You started a cannabis business. You started, no, I didn't start. I mean, my partners started the business. Really, I didn't do anything. But you see my point is like the message is like, you're not just going through the most horrible thing in your life, but you're moving forward. You're not letting it take over your life, and that's the message I want to really portray to people. And you got to remember, and I know you know this, MJ, is that, like, to every person, what they're going through now, whether it's like, I sprained my ankle, or I have a heart problem, or I have, kidney issues, or I've got a kidney stone, or at that moment, it's the worst thing in the world for them, right? And so if you can be this kind of beacon where it's like, shit, if Brian can get out of bed, and maybe I'm not, being, like I said, being as honest with people as I am on your podcast, where I'm telling people, maybe some people that are watching us didn't know that I was in level 10 pain and crying like a baby, because it hurts so bad. But I still get out of bed every day, and I still go to work, and I still live with as much passion as I possibly can, and make the best of every moment I can. And a lot of it sucks. I mean, a lot of those moments suck, but my point is that if I can help someone else get out of bed, and follow their dreams, that's the legacy that I really care about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And I think you've been doing it before you even knew you were doing it. Only because, man, I like I tell you, Brian, and I'll tell this story till the day I die. I was a lost individual doing some really fucked up shit at one point, and something made me want to get back into keeping a ball python. And I remember buying a ball python that wasn't the ball python I had when I was 6, which was just a classic ball python. This thing was some sort of a morph, and I didn't even know what a morph was then. I just typed in black and yellow ball python, all right? And of course, first thing that pops up, your channel, and I didn't even know that this was a world. And I'll never forget. That day I broke up with my girlfriend that week. Wow. I canceled my DJ gigs. Because I knew a lot of stuff that I was doing that was the problem. I was doing a lot of because I didn't know how to fucking balance myself. I was a mess. But then something made me so at peace and at home, because I wanted more snakes. Snakes made me feel good. It just made me feel good to stay home. My ass needed to stay home. I was getting in too much trouble. And I felt so great just hearing from you, your excitement, just like, and mind you, Steve Irwin, first person ever inspire me with reptiles, but not even close to the way you've inspired me. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I'm saying, like, I know no one means disrespect when they say, oh, Barczyk's the day and age Steve Irwin, but fuck that. You're your own. You're your own Steve Irwin. You're Brian Barczyk, because that's an era that was, rest his soul. But man, look at this that you've done. That Steve Irwin had no, he was never on social media. You know what I'm saying? A whole different era approach to impact millions of people. You know what I'm saying? It's
well, that means a lot to me, dude.
Man,
it means a ton to me. You have no idea how much it means. And I've said this, can you imagine the fun that me and Steve are going to have when, if I don't get through this? I mean, we're going to be up in heaven. We're going to be creating havoc like you can't believe together, and
you guys think you'll be using snake hooks up there?
I don't know if there'll be any venomous snakes, so I think we'll be okay. I'm not sure. Well, Steve didn't even own a snake hook, so I know he's I told the story before when I was on Bob Irwin's property, Steve's dad's property. One of the first times. I've been there a number of times, and Bob reached out to me early on in this diagnosis. Even, I get a call from Australia. Had no idea, whose number it was, because he doesn't have a cell phone. He just has a landline. And I see it's an Australian area code or country code. And I answer the phone, and it's Bob, Steve's dad. And he just said, "Hey, mate, I heard about your health, and I just want to know that, that I'm here for you, and I'm cheering you on, and you're going to beat this, and you're a good man." And that meant so much to me. But one of the first times I was ever on his property, there was a brown snake, at the front of his house.
Yeah.
And I told the story about how I was supposed to catch it and I didn't because I was whatever, that whole thing. But ultimately, Bob ended up catching that snake a couple days later and sending me a picture of it, via email. And but the thing is that Bob said, yeah, probably once a week I have to catch a brown snake and move it out of my because he has 600 acres, but
Yeah.
his actual, like, where his pets are electric fenced in. It's probably an acre.
Right.
So he doesn't want the brown snakes in that acre because he has dogs and horses and emus and stuff like that are running around. He doesn't want them getting killed. But he told me he didn't even own a snake hook. Bob, he goes, once a week I have to catch. He goes, and I asked him, I said something like, well, do you have a snake hook or something? He's like, he goes, I've never owned a snake hook in my life, mate. I was like, what do you need a snake hook for? And so I think Steve had that same mentality because he got it from his dad. And that doesn't mean that you should free handle snakes by any stretch, but those guys were they're next level. Steve's abilities, and you see that over the course of my life. I've been around people that just have it. I mean, they just really have a knack for handling things. And I think that obviously the way Steve's life ended was a tragedy. But I'm glad that it wasn't by a snake's hand for two reasons. Number one, snakes would have then been vilified. Number two, Steve never had been bitten by a venomous snake in his whole life.
Wow.
Yet he had been dealing with venomous snakes his whole life without snake hooks. So that's a pretty special guy that has that intuition. And like I said, I've seen that with other people over my travels where they just have this unbelievable intuition about what that snake is going to do before they do it. I mean, I'd like to think I have some of that. But I don't think I have it on the level that a Steve Irwin had it, I mean, where he's that good. But again, I don't work with them every single day either, so if I worked with mambas every day, I'd probably have a better feel. And I was supposed to go to South Africa this year, before I was diagnosed, to go spend time with Dingo. And that was the one thing that me and Dingo had talked about was, because Dingo is a guy that I have the utmost admiration.
That's such a cool guy, man.
he's a great, I mean, his whole family's lovely and just absolutely great people. But he really, really knows his snakes. And so I asked him and he said, absolutely. I said, I want to spend an entire day, just me and you, handling black mambas. I said, I want, and I've handled black mambas before, but I was like, I want you to teach me how to handle a black mamba because, I'm handling a black mamba the same way I would handle a brown snake or a cobra or a taipan. And mambas aren't any of those. They're completely different animal. And I wanted to learn from a guy that I really had the most respect for, Dingo. And I was really bummed that I was not able to get that opportunity to go because of my health. So,
but next year, once you feel better next year, you could go.
And that's what I've said, I mean, I if I get past this, when I get past this, whatever you want to say, South Africa's now I want to take Lori to places that she hasn't been that were very special to me.
I mean, okay, because I was gonna say, Brian, like, once you get rid of this shit that's happening in your life right now, I ain't gonna tell you how to live your life, man, but just go take Lori somewhere. Just get the fuck out of here, man. Please, dude. Like, I love what you're doing. Like, I love the LegaSea, but man, I want you to enjoy life like more than just like, fuck, we got to wait for workers to show up. We got to wait for this. Because I don't want you to go right back into that. Even though you're doing that now, but I'm not.
Right. Yeah. The reason I'm doing it now is because, well, number one, it's a necessity, but number two, it's I can't travel if I wanted to. I just can't do it. There's no way. But even going to Animal Con was very difficult, but that's a pretty short trip. But the thing that people don't know is that Laura and I were building this aquarium in our business to building it to a point where we were not going to have to be there. Right. That was the whole the infrastructure we were building, from bringing on my chief operating officer, Chuck, to bringing on, a general manager, assistant general manager, head keepers, head aquarists, so like that. the way our business is being set up right now is that, you know, by time we, and I mean, what I mean by we is Lori or I, get word of something, it should have already went through 3 or 4 different levels, right? So like, you know, it should go, you know, to whoever's the manager, head keeper. And then if they can't resolve it, then it should go to the assistant general manager. If that can't solve it, then it should go to the general manager. If that can't solve it, then it goes to the chief operating officer. If that can't solve it, then they come to me and Lori, right? So that was the idea before my health even, was to build this out to where, you know, the idea was is that it was funny because, you know, after the first of the year, we were talking because we were in Mexico. You know, I know you love Mexico too, and we were down. We weren't at Sandals, but we were at
Dreams.
we were at Dreams. This was the next year.
Right.
We were at the Grand Parisio.
Okay.
And
Right.
you know, it's down in Playa del Carmel, and it's beautiful down there. And we were talking, and that's why I told her. I said, I want you to pick what I go for one month of the year. That wasn't going to be our only travel, but I said 1 month of the year I want to pick a space, one space. Let's say Greece, Italy, whatever it is, and I want to spend an entire month traveling that region every year. You know, so that we not only get a month break a year, and we'd probably do smaller trips like a week here, a week there type of thing. But I wanted to spend 1 month a year getting to know the culture of wherever, whether it was, you know, Botswana or you know, East Europe, you know, Czech Republic or wherever it was, and that was our goal before this diagnosis. So we were already planning on this whole thing, right? So my point is that, you know, if I get past this, yes, I will not be working 100 hours a week for the rest of my life. That's just not what I'm going to do. You know, and you know, I'm going to definitely enjoy life. You know, listen, you know, it's funny. I was with a couple of my friends a few days ago, Kathy and Dwayne was like has been one of my best friends since I was 14 years old. And his wife Kathy has been together. So we all went to the same high school together. They were high school sweethearts, and then of course Laura and I were.
Yeah.
And they're still together. We're still together. And so they came over, but she went through cancer a couple years ago, and you know, breast cancer, again, not to you know, breast cancer is horrible, but certainly, you know, pretty decent, you know, chance you're going to survive, you know, if you catch it, especially in time and things go well. You know, the survival rate's, you know, 80% or whatever the case may be. But so she got past it, which is really great. And then they spent a year just traveling around in an RV. They sold their house, bought an RV, and then spent a year just driving. You know, as a matter of fact, it was funny. I didn't know this until just a couple months ago. They had a private Facebook group, which was just for friends and family. I don't do Facebook, so I wasn't in it, but it was called Chasing 70. And I always wondered what that meant. Like, I'm like, what? Chasing 70 was like you going 70 miles an hour, you know, whatever it is. And what they told me, which I think was brilliant, is that their idea was to always chase 70 degrees. No matter what time of year it was, they wanted to be at 70 degrees at certain. So they would literally go like, all right, well, what time of the year is Maine 70 degrees? I'm going to go there in this time of year. And what time of the year is Florida 70 degrees? I want to be in Florida at 70 degrees. What time is, you know, and they traveled all over the country. They did all like 48 states. And they just tried to chase 70 the entire time. And so it was pretty cool. So my point is, I think that, you know, once you get, you know, go through something like we're going through, you'd be really remiss if you didn't then enjoy your life afterwards. You know, if I just went back to working, and listen, I love what I do. I mean, I never felt like I overworked. The only thing that I regret, if there's a regret, is not that I overworked. It's that I didn't spend more time with my loved ones because I work so much. You know, there were a lot of times I sacrificed and didn't go to a family event or wasn't around for a family movie night or a game night or you know, whatever the case was, because I was working.
We're doing a podcast on Father's Day because I'm in town.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep. And I did a lot of that. I those are my regrets in life. You know, there's nothing I can do. And we had, you know, listen, Noah and Jade, my daughter, we've had those, like I said, you're able to have some pretty serious talks, you know, when you're in my position. And you know, we had a lot of talks about, you know, the fact that, you know, I was sorry that it seemed like I was picking business over family most of my life. Now, again, as a father, and you're now a father, so you know this, we have this manly thing that makes us think that our job as a father is to provide, and we have to somehow be successful and make money and, blah, 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 blah. But the truth is that although those things can be true, being there for your family is more important. That I wish that I could go back and spend more time with Noah and Jade than I did, because there were so many days I was feeding snakes, or I was out of town at a reptile show, or you name the reason, that I wasn't around for them. And that's why Lori, was such she was just a great mom, I mean, she was the opposite of me. She always put family first, she always put family first. And she wouldn't even think twice about, well, I can't go to Daytona Reptile Expo because Jade has something going on that weekend. I'm not going. I mean, there wasn't even it wasn't even a conversation. It wasn't like, hey, we have to be at this event for a reptile show. She was like, nope, I'm not going. It's just not going to happen. And of course, at the time, I always thought, well, that's not right. You should be caring about your business. Now that I have the perspective I have in life, I was wrong. I was wrong. And that may be the advice I'm giving you as a father, and whoever else is watching too, is don't give up those precious moments. You know what I mean? Because those moments you can never have back. You can never have back. And my daughter wrote me. So almost every birthday, my daughter is a beautiful person, inside and out. And she's always knows what to say, and stuff. So almost every year she would, on Lori's birthday, she would write this beautiful post about her mom being her best friend and all this other stuff. And then she would make a post on my birthday that was relatively short, I mean, happy, as a matter of fact, she used to call me Pops instead of Dad. And it always bothered me, like, I'm your dad, I'm not Pop. Pop seems like informal, like, hey, Pops, you know what I mean? And so this year she didn't make a post at all. And we had already, talked and hugged and cried and done all the things, beautiful things that a father and a daughter should do to show their love to one another. And we have a very close relationship now. We talk almost every single day, which is something we didn't do before. And but anyways, about 2 weeks, maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks after my birthday, she sent me what she was going to post. And it was probably the most heartbreaking thing I've ever read in my life, because she said that, that I was a dad that she didn't really know that well. And that although she loved me, I was not really that big of a part of her life for most of her life. But then with one phone call in February, all those hard feelings went away. And she realized that it was about the relationship moving forward.
Yeah.
And then she said, I can't say happy birthday to you, and because I can't think of this being your last birthday. And so she ended just saying, so here's to next birthday. We'll be celebrating together. And it was just, I've read that text that she sent me that was never posted. I've read it 100 times. And that puts it in perspective of what matters in life, right?
Yeah.
Thank the Lord that I've been able to mend that situation. Because I remember calling Jade every now and then. We didn't talk that often because we just didn't have it. Like me and Noah had it.
Brian, time flies, man. Like when we're working the way we are, dude, yeah. It's gone. It's gone. That's why it's so important what you're saying right now. It's people need to listen. Like they need to stop and call that person or hang out with them. It's very important.
Like me and Noah had a close relationship, not his whole life, but over the last 5 or 6 years in particular. We've traveled a lot together. We've hung out a lot together. And like I can sit and talk to Noah for hours and we just laugh about things and small talk. And it's great. With Jade, like it was always uncomfortable talking to her because I just didn't know her. You know what I mean? I just didn't know her as a person, and so I'm so grateful now I do. You know, now I you know, now we can talk. Like I said, we talk almost every day, and it's beautiful. You know, it's beautiful. But you know, that's the message that I really want people to understand is that, yeah, time flies, and it's always going to be next week I'm going to take time, or this weekend I'll take a time off. But you know what? You know, I remember reading this a while ago, and again, it never sunk in. But you know, they talk about quantity over quality when it comes to parenting. When they did research, the quantity that you spend with your child is better than someone that just does, hey, I'm only going to see you once a week, but I'm going to take you and we're going to do amazing things all over that. You know what I mean? It's like you can sit on the couch and do nothing with your child, and it's more important than taking them to Disney once a month.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something that I wish I could get back, but I can't. And I'm glad that my children have forgiven me for being so focused on business and life and success and all the other things, all those demons, man, those demons that keep you up at night. You know, my kids have forgiven me for those demons, and those demons are gone now for me. I don't have them anymore because I don't care, you know, about any of the things that drove me for so many years. Now it's just, I just want to leave the stamp I could leave on the world, not only with my family and friends, but now, you know, the stamp I leave with you know, people loving animals and doing the right thing, and you know.
I think one thing I want you to hear from me, Brian, is I've seen some dads be some real pieces of shits. You know what I'm saying? I've firsthand seen it. Even moms. I don't think you intentionally knew what you were doing when you're doing it. You just knew you had to do it. Like there's no, like even me sometimes, like I love my wife, man. I love her to death. I love my kid. And I know that sometimes I spend too much time in here, like a little more extra than I need to be. And I have to check myself, like, you're done in here. Like, get out of here. Go fucking hang out with your family. But sometimes I just find a reason, just keep working. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like I'm not done yet. And I just don't think that was intentional at all. Like I don't, you know, I don't even think you Jade felt like that either. You know what I'm saying?
And it never is intentional, you know, but you know, it's you realize, you know, after, you know, when you're in this situation where, you know, you may be facing your mortality, that, you know, you can't get those hours back, you can't get those days back, you can't get the time back. And now there's limited time, you know, and I'm thankful because, you know, if I would have gotten hit by a car on February 27th and died, my kids would have never been able to create the relationship that we have now.
Yeah.
And that's the part that I'm grateful for, is that we've been able to do that. And listen, you know, I mean, you know, there's been so many beautiful things that have happened over the last 9 months. It's been, you know, 9-10 months. It's not all been terrible. It's mainly been terrible, but there's been some really beautiful things. People have shown how beautiful they are and how caring they are. Some people have really surprised me with who they are. Like I didn't expect some of the people that check in with me constantly. I didn't expect that from them, and the support. And I've gained some new friends too. You know, that you know, online that have been, you know, really important to me. I mean, my I think my friend Becky Galante is she's from Canada, and I think she's listening right now. And you know, we've become really good friends. You know, um, and you know, it just came from her reaching out to me constantly. And it's not just her. I mean, there's so many people like that have really, they're not just, no longer, they're just not supporters of mine, they're actual friends of mine. And I care about them, and I care about their support for me, and they've made this journey a lot better than it would have been without them. So I've been really fortunate on all that stuff, and I'll continue to, again, live in gratitude the best I can, and pray that I can, you know, continue to be that pillar of you know, how to deal with things, as grateful as she is, not only grateful, but also just as you know, as admirable as you can, you know. And that's why, you know, I try not to complain, and I try not to, like I said, Lori's the only one that I feel bad for because she sees the good, bad, and the ugly. I don't hide it from her. Although I do, shouldn't say I hide a lot from her actually, because I don't want her to constantly. I don't want the last months of my life to just her memory just be horrible of me, you know. So I try not to complain. I sometimes do, and she sees it, but I try my hardest to not do that because she doesn't need that, you know. She doesn't need that, and she's been so strong and so supportive of me. Man, I would never want to go through what she's going through right now, you know. It's a horrible thing to go through what she's going through. If anyone needs prayers, it's her, you know, really, honestly.
Because
Because
I mean, like I said, I mean, you meet Lori and she's just doing so much already. Like she's just doing a lot. Like she's just doing a lot. So this right here added to the plate of doing everything that she does. Fuck, man. Like, no, poor lady. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she's been at every doctor's appointment I had. She sat through every chemo infusion I had. She, you know, when I was sick, she was always the person that was taking care of me. And yeah, she's got a lot on her plate, and through it all, very, very, very rarely does she break down. You know, almost hardly ever. She's always very stoic, and I appreciate that tremendously. But I know on the inside it's got to be killing her, you know, because I know that it is, and it's that hurts me a lot. It does, you know, and like I said, you know, my pain ends, you know, and everyone else's begins. So I don't want that to happen. I don't want anyone to have pain. I want there to be a celebration at the end of this, no matter what the outcome is. I want there to be a celebration, and it's funny because I don't know what I want to do, and ultimately I don't really care, I guess, because if I'm not around, it doesn't matter. But like, I told Lori that I don't think I want like a service at all if I don't make it. I don't think I want people coming, and I don't know that I want that. You know, I think I just want I just think I want to just be kind of quietly. You know, but again, it'll be Lori's decision, not my decision, obviously, you know, because I won't be here. But you know, I just but I hope that I hope that, you know, obviously the reptile community has a lot of faults. You know, they really do, more than I'd like to see it. And but it's also a beautiful community on top of it. You know, it's a brotherhood, sisterhood that is so amazing. And the thing that's, you know, it's crazy. Here I am with like all these like, you know, issues health wise, and you know, am I going to make it past, you know, a couple months and all these things, but yet I'm still like obsessed with reptiles. I'm obsessed. I like look at I like I'm scrolling Instagram 24/7 just looking at snakes, you know, and looking at reptiles, and you know, and as a matter of fact, I'm getting a couple shipments tomorrow of a couple reptiles that I'm super excited about. And it's cool to still have that same passion. And so my point is that I know there's always going to be naysayers. Yeah, I mean, listen, dude, I'm sure you've seen it. There are some people that think I'm lying about having cancer. You know, there are people in the reptile community that have posted that I'm a thief and I'm a scammer, and all I'm trying to do is scam people out of money, and that it's all lies.
Nobody relevant. I will say, like somebody who's actually contributing to the industry. Nobody's talking. No, it's none of those type of people. I will tell you this, but it's the worst of the worst is what we're talking about.
I will say there was one person, I will not mention his name, but there was one prominent guy in the industry. Didn't say I didn't have cancer, but he vocalized his I don't know what to say. He was not happy that people were donating money, and I was using it towards a LegaSea aquarium rather than my family. And he even reached out to me, and we had a couple pretty heated text messages back and forth about. He just said, you know, hey, I helped raise money for you, and you know, now you're using it for a business venture, and that was not why. He said, I would have never helped if I would have known that. And of course I told him, I said, you know, I appreciate everything that you've done, but you know, do you think that the $8,000 that you helped raise for me would have helped my family at all?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in the grand scheme of things, but if I could spend that 8,000 and open up the aquarium, it could help my family forever,
We're
So
thinking longevity here. This is a whole game plan.
yeah, I mean, it's, this is helping my family. It's that old, teach a person how to fish and they'll have, they won't be hungry for the rest of their life. It's like, that's what you have to do. But anyways, I don't want to get into that too much. But what I'm saying is that I hope that the reptile community, no matter what happens, understands how much I love it and how much it's been like my whole life, that's been all I've cared about, and even though I've kind of, I didn't stop walking away. I've slowly kind of extricated myself from the reptile community over the last several years and kind of done my own thing. I haven't lost my passion for it. You know what I mean? I still love seeing snakes. I still love seeing eggs. I love seeing babies. I love the whole process of everything. And I still follow, like everything that's going on, and not everything that's going on, but I have a pretty good beat of what's happening in the reptile market all the time. I keep an eye. I mean, I follow a lot of people on Instagram and on Twitter and on YouTube, obviously. And so I have a pretty good understanding of what's happening in the reptile community. But I still love it, and I always will love it. And I hope that they understand that no matter what happens, that I hope that people understand how much I've tried to do the right thing all the time. I haven't done the right thing all the time, but I've tried, and that because I've tried, because I've loved the reptile community so much, and that, I just wanted people to love reptiles. I mean, reptiles changed my life when I was a kid. They've kept me on a path my entire life that kept me out of trouble. They've made me, it's given me the opportunity to do crazy, insane things all around the world. I'm just some dude that wanted to work with animals and look at the crazy life I've lived, man. You know what I mean? It's like I have literally, me, Lori, myself, we've lived 10 lives. I mean, it's been such a blessing, and so I hope that if things don't work out, that the reptile community just gives me that respect, that I didn't harm the community, but I helped the community, and and then that's the end. I mean, that's it. That's all I care about, as far as that goes. But I think that, I mean, I think that I've been predicting this for the last year and a half, that, the reptile, the market is going to be a little rough for a little while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to, anyone that didn't see this coming, you got to remember there's a lot of people that are in this industry, in particular ball pythons, that haven't been around long enough to see the
COVID breeders is what they're calling them.
Yeah, and they just hadn't been around. We really have been in a 10-year bull market, really, and then obviously COVID was, ridiculous.
Peak, yeah.
But this goes back to like 2008, 2009 feel, and many of us, listen, I went through it in 2008, 2009, even 2010 before the market started to come back, and then since 2010, 11ish, it's been pretty much a bull market ever since. But we also went through it in the late 90s as well. There was a recession in the late 90s, and it was really bad, So this is our third dip in the market that we've seen. Obviously now I don't have all my eggs in one basket, so to speak.
Right.
And I don't just rely on reptiles for income, so I'm okay. But yeah, it's gonna be a bit ugly for a year or two, But that being said, I will give one little bit of advice for people, is that when it gets bad is the right time to get in.
Yeah.
And
come up and buy shit for sure.
Exactly. I mean, because you're going to be buying stuff for 15, 20 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
And then when it comes back around, which it will, it may be a year, 2, 3 years from now, depending on how the economy goes and how everything, interest rates go and all that other stuff.
Right. I have to ask you, what's your piece of advice for people out there desperate, slashing their prices, and they're still not selling, and like wanting to get out of the hobby because of it? Like, what would you say to those people?
Well, yeah, I see a lot of that right now. I mean, really a lot of it. And it's not surprising to me. I think that you got to remember, there's always going to be someone cheaper than you. So the first thing you don't want to do when you're trying to get rid of a bunch of animals is try to be the cheapest guy. Because if you try to be the cheapest guy, there's always going to be someone else that's cheaper than you. And then when that happens, you're kind of screwed because, you know, you're just giving your stuff away. So, you know, don't race to the bottom is what I always talk about. You know, the race to the bottom is the worst thing that you can absolutely do, because it's just going to, there's always going to be someone else that's going to want to, you know, beat you to the bottom. So you go $100, they're going to go $75. They go $75, you go $50, and next thing you know, you're selling something for $25. You know, and
Yep.
I've already seen some pricing that has been shocking. And listen, I would not want to be a guy that's producing, you know, 300 clutches of ball pythons right now. You know,
what about Justin? Because that's what he's doing right now.
I think that well, Justin's on the top, so he's
Yeah.
you know, being the top guy, he's going to not feel it as bad.
Right.
But you know, he's not going to be selling his animals anywhere near the price he's used
I
to.
think he's the only guy advertising that he's hitting 300 plus clutches. Nobody else is saying that shit right now, just so you know.
Yeah, I think I think that Justin's a really, really smart guy. And
Yeah.
I'd be surprised. Again, I can't talk for Justin, and I have the utmost respect for him. I think he's one of the wisest guys in the industry, on so many levels. As a matter of fact, I want to do a video breaking down why Justin is so successful, because I've really done a lot of looking at what his business model is, and it's very impressive. But I think that he's a smart enough guy to not produce 300 clutches in the next year or two. I think that he'll scale back his production specifically because he knows he shouldn't produce 300 clutches, you know, a year. It's cheaper for him to not produce 300 clutches than it is for him to produce 300 clutches. You know, now he can pick and choose which his 200 clutches are, or 150 clutches are. But, you know, there's going to be some clutches that he'd be better off not producing than producing, because it's just going to, number one, hurt the market. And number two, it's just going to be snakes in his racks that he can't sell. You know, and he knows that. He's a smart guy. He's going to be, you know, out of everyone in the business, the person I'm the least worried about is Justin. You know what I mean? It's like, he's going to be fine. He's going to be okay. There's some other people that are going to get hurt really bad. You know, there's some people that just, they didn't put themselves into a position to be able to handle a financial downturn that the market is causing right now. And you've got to be prepared for that. You've got to be prepared for that. And, it's going to be, you know, it's going to be tough for some people, but again, great opportunities, you know what I mean? Like, great opportunities. And there's going to be guys that are producing really high end, really amazing, sought after ball python morphs that were, say, you know, $5,000, $7,000, that you're going to probably be able to pick up for $1,000 or less in the next year, you know, or 6 months. And so if you know, you could build $100,000 collection of ball pythons that's really heavy hitter ball pythons. And it's not just ball pythons. I mean, although I think a lot, like, you know, obviously arboreals, I think are going to be great. You know, I don't think they're going anywhere. And I think there's a whole bunch of other reptiles that will continue to maintain their success. But when talking about ball pythons, I think that you could build $100,000 ball python collection for $20,000 in the next year, you know, and have a really great $20,000 collection that was $100,000 now. And by the way, my battery is getting low.
I know. I was gonna say, Brian, I already took you way past what we were gonna say, but so go ahead. We'll
I hope if it dies, I'll talk to you, but I should be okay for the next 5 minutes or so.
Right.
I just went to 10%, so I should be okay. But then again, who knows? But yeah, I think that you know, it's just, you be prepared, you know, and just ride it out. You know, like I said, don't think that you know, they always say the best time to buy is when you're afraid to buy, right? You know, that's when you want to buy, is when you're so afraid that you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to buy that snake because it was $5,000 and now it's $1,000. What if it's going to be 500? There's a saying in the stock market that says never catch a falling knife. And that basically just means that, you know, you don't want to try to call the bottom. You know, if it's a $5,000 snake and it's $1,000, don't wait for it to go down to 500, because it may never go down to 500, but it may go up to 2,000. You know what I mean? So just, you know, when you get a deal on an animal that you're like, I want this animal, I think it's good, go for it. The one thing I can tell you unequivocally is the market will be back. 1,000%, the market will be back. When? I don't know. It's not, but I guarantee it's not going to be more than 2 or 3 years. It's never is. I've been in this since the late 80s. And with every downturn we've seen, including the Great Recession, lasted about 2 years. You know, about 2 breeding seasons. Usually have one breeding season where that people capitulate, you know, and they panic and they try to sell stuff off. And then you have the next breeding season where it stabilizes a little bit. And usually by the third breeding season, it's already starting to come back. And then there's a mad rush to get back into it. You know, and it's all, those are the people that don't make money, or the people that sell their stuff off when the market's shit and then try to buy back in when the market comes back, right? You do the opposite. You buy when the market is shit and you sell off when the market is great, you know?
Right. But then again, this is like, not everyone's made for this stuff. Like it's just because you come in and buy certain snakes doesn't guarantee anything. And I feel like expectations are always held way too high. Okay. But we only have so many percentage left. And I have this last question for you, Brian. Okay. Because I feel like it's an important one, especially I need this help. And I want to know what your advice is for anyone out there who has a problem uniting with something that maybe you don't want to unite with. And what I mean by that, like you said, brother and sisterhood is in this reptile industry, right?
Yes.
Too many lines are drawn in the sand, man. There's too many fucking, you either like him or you like me, but that's not going to help us at all. I don't think at all. And what would you say to that? Like for somebody like myself who's asking for help, wanting to be more united, even with people who I don't want to unite with. Like I just don't, I want nothing to do with them, but it's not going to help. Like we're better together than against each other, but I'm struggling, buddy. Like, and I'm wondering what your advice is.
Well, I've always said that, you know, you got, you know, I think the biggest problem in life, not just in reptiles, but in life in general, is ego. You know, it's very difficult for us to lay our egos down and look past discretions. Animal Con is a perfect example of how I operate my life. And this is, again, I started Animal Con when I was still healthy and think vibrant last year. I went to every person, some of which were horrible to me. I mean, you know, listen, and it's shocking to me. And I went to them and even knowing how horrible the things that they said about me behind my back and publicly as well. And I welcome them with open arms to Animal Con. You know, with open arms, I said, please come. I'd love to have you. It'd be great to have you here. And many of them came to the event last year and this last one that we just had a couple months ago. And it was kind of funny because so many of them, I think they either think, one, that I don't remember, or they hope I don't remember. But I have a pretty good memory of the things that are said about me and written about me. And it was interesting to see them come up to me. Not obviously this year was a little bit different because of my health. It was a little bit. Animal Con was great. We missed you there. Obviously, I pray you'll be there this next year, and I pray I'll be there as well. It really was a great event. It really went on. I mean, we more than doubled everything last year. You know, doubled attendance, doubled. You know, we almost doubled our creator list. I mean, it was really a huge success. But you know, even the year before. The first year, which was still awesome, it was shocking how many people came up and treated me so well and acted like they had never done anything bad to me. And yet they had. And then, like I said, this year was a little bit more difficult because it was hard for me emotionally, because it did feel like, and it may turn out to be accurate, I don't know. It did feel like a lot of people were saying their goodbyes to me, right? You know, and that was difficult for me. I gave a lot of hugs out, and there was a lot of teary eyes, and that's not something that would have happened if they thought they were going to see me again, right?
That's what you think. That's what you're assuming, though, right? That you don't.
Yeah, no, that's a fixed assumption, but yeah, I could be wrong, but regardless, my point is that that's the way I deal in life. Is I set my ego aside, and I set my feelings aside, and I open I open up my arms to anybody and everybody. There's a couple people that I do not have. I'm not mad at them. I don't hold grudges, but I would never open my doors to them again. You know what I mean? There's a couple people on the planet that wronged me so bad that there's no room for them back in my life. That doesn't mean that I haven't forgiven them, because I have. But that list is very short, and for the amount of people that have wronged me in my life, which is very long, to have a very short list of people that I would not invite back into my inner circle is pretty, you know. And my advice to you is just keep that in mind, is that it doesn't. You're right. We are stronger together than we are apart. And I say all the time, like take for instance, like Kevin McCurley and Chandler, you know, Chandler's Wildlife, you know, both very dear friends of mine. Of course, I've known Kevin for, you know, 25 years longer than I've known Chandler. So he's one of my dearest friends, but I love them both as people. I really do. And they have a big beef, right? I've always said it, if they could get in the same room together, I think that beef goes away. I really do, because I think they have enough similar ideology about animals and wildlife. And I don't think that they, right now, either one of them can put their ego down to allow that to happen. But eventually it will happen, I believe. And I thought it could happen this year at Animal Con, actually, because Kevin was there and Chandler was supposed to show up. He backed out the last minute. Of course, he had, you know, the cobra bite and stuff like that. So he was dealing with that. But I really do believe that if they would have gotten in the same room together, that they would have been cool with one another. I really do.
But
So
that's the case with a lot of these beefs, don't you say? Like, wouldn't you say, like,
I think the vast majority of the beefs would be squashed if people got in the same room and just put their egos aside. Now, that doesn't mean every, you know, beef is that way. That's certainly not the case. I mean, there's some beefs that just can't be worked out as easily as that. And
I agree, bro, on that one.
yeah, but most things can be. And I've seen so many people, you know, that used to be friends that hate each other now, and that's the bummer to me, because, like, unless someone did something really egregious to somebody, if you had a relationship with somebody, you should never, like, at one point, it's kind of like I always talk about, it's weird with like divorce. You know what I mean? I always think about that. Like you spent 10 years with a woman that you loved to death and you were married to and had children with, and this and that, and then you get divorced and you can't say enough bad stuff about them. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to me. It's like, what do you mean? Like, you know, how can you be so like vitriolic to your ex-wife or husband or whatever it might be, when you love them enough to be together for years and years and years, and even have kids together. And that's the same thing I feel about with relationships in the reptile community, or even outside the reptile community. If you guys, like, were together and liked each other enough to respect each other and do projects together, do business together, hang out, maybe go on vacation together, whatever the case may be. But now, like, you have nothing but hatred towards one another. It's like, unless someone really screwed somebody else, then it's just a matter of ego. You just got to put that ego aside and say, hey, listen, you know, I'm a better person with you as a friend, as an enemy. And I want to be your friend. And I've done a lot of that, you know, not only, you know, over the last 10 months, but over the last 10 years, you know, where I've like, you know, went to people and completely, you know, swallowed my pride and just said, hey, listen, I'm sorry. You know, I'm sorry that we're at the spot we're at. I'm willing to do whatever I can do to make this relationship better. And that's what I've done. And I think that that's what people should do. Again, it doesn't mean that every single thing is going to work out, because that's just not reality. But I think that a lot of 90% of the beefs that are out there could be squashed just with a conversation or a face-to-face mutual respect. And we're all in it together, right? You know, and so for me, you know, like I said, outside of a couple people that I would never, you know, try to hurt or try to whatever, but I would never, like I said, never ever allow them into my life again. Like, I don't want to have a conversation with you ever again, type of thing, because, you know, you wronged me so bad. But that being said, even those people, if they came to me and apologized, I would accept them back in.
Right.
You know, if I wouldn't go to them and try to mend the bridge, but if they ever came to me and said, hey, you know what, I admit that I did this to you. It was a effed up thing. I'm a piece of shit for doing it. Could you please accept my apology? I would 1000% accept their apology. I mean, I wouldn't even think twice about it. I'd be like, absolutely, you know, let's go, you know, and I wouldn't look back even 1 second. That's a promise.
Yeah. And the ones that don't even have the goal or the balls to do it, God bless them. You know, it is what it is. At the end of the day, you're not the one harboring and fucking worrying about that. You know, it's on their mind.
Yeah. I don't ever ponder the things that have been done to me, because it would drive me crazy, you know. You know, because I mean, you know, listen, people have said things about me that I would fight to my death to disprove, right? You know, I mean, like in particular, anyone that would call me an animal abuser or you know, exploiting my animals for money, that those are the comments that hurt me, you know, because I would die for my animals. I would die for you know, these things, and that's the part that hurts the worst. But yeah, I don't, you know, I don't ponder it. You know, I get a bad comment and I just move past it and I just move on to the next comment, and you know, yeah, just, it's, you know, being the bigger person is always the better way to go, even though it's sometimes difficult to do.
Yeah. You know what's difficult to do is fucking wrap this up. It's really difficult. But I don't want to be selfish. I want to, you know, I want to say thank you, Brian, so much for just, you know, I don't even know what to thank you for, because there's so many things to thank you for at this point. But we had just shy of 360 people tapped in at one point.
That's awesome.
Not that this is a final message, but what do you have to say to everyone out there, man? Everyone who's just happy to see you. What do you have to say to everyone?
I mean, again, this let's pray this isn't the final message. You know, I think that, again, live life, and really appreciate the things that people don't take for granted. You know, waking up in the morning and having a loved one next to you, wake up in the morning and having your health primarily good, waking up in the morning, having, you know, animals you love. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. The things that, you know, 99.9% of people, including myself, took for granted can be taken away from you in literally a heartbeat, you know, whether that's an accident or whether it's an illness like I've got going on. So don't wait around, and don't the one thing I guess I will always say to people is, don't work your life away for retirement, because you don't know that you're going to have retirement. You know what I mean? You work and then enjoy life now, you know. As a matter of fact, you know, when they surveyed, like it was like 5,000 AARP, you know, people that had been retired and for many years, the number one piece of advice that those people said, number one, by a landslide, was live now, don't wait to live. You know, because so many people work until they retire, and then they retire and they think they're going to have a great life, and that usually doesn't happen. You know, I mean, usually by the time you retire, you're in physically difficult shape. You're, you know, maybe your health's off. Maybe you don't even get a chance to retire because you died from a heart attack or whatever the case is. So don't wait around, and don't take it for granted. You live life now, and be passionate about it, and smile, and you know, appreciate the littlest things. You know, I mean, still today, you know, I mean, listen, you know, today was you know, I had a little bit of pain this afternoon that lasted, you know, thankfully not a whole long time, but it was, you know, it went to like level 10 for about a half hour, and then my pain meds kicked in and it came down a bit. But even then, you know, I was driving, and we're in Michigan, so it's, you know, you in San Diego, you always see the sun and beauty, stuff like that. It's been gloomy here, you know, it's been gloomy for the last couple weeks, and the sun was out today, and you know, I was driving, and you know, and just in my head, I just said, you know, I'm just so thankful for such a beautiful day. Look at how beautiful the sky is. Look how beautiful the landscape is, and those are the things that matter. You know what I mean? Live in gratitude all the time. You know, be grateful for everything you have. And if you live in gratitude, you can't be sad, you can't be anxious, you can't be anything, you know. And that's what I'm going to continue to live in until the day I die, is I'll live in gratitude. And I'm grateful for my friends like you, and I'm grateful for my just everything. I'm very, very blessed. So that's the message I have. Don't wait, because, you know, trust me, you got to remember, I didn't spend a day in the hospital my entire life, man. You know, my entire life, I never had a problem, never had an issue, never was. I mean, yeah, I get sick, but then I have to go to the hospital.
You don't even do drugs. You don't even touch drugs. You don't even fucking do anything bad to yourself.
I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't have any family history of cancer. Nothing. You know, so the thought of me having cancer is comes out of nowhere. There's no family history, nothing. And so my point is it can happen to anybody, anytime. Hopefully pray, you know, that doesn't happen like it's happening to me, but anything can happen. And so don't wait around waiting for your time to be better. Live now, man. And that's that's it, you know, and make that mark, you know, dent the universe, man. You know, I don't care who you are, you can make a difference in whether you're making a difference to millions of people or you're making a difference to that one person that you walk down the street and say hey to and help them, you know, load their groceries or, you know, take their cart back to the cart bin at the store. Those are the things that are important in life. And everyone can make a difference if they really want to. You know, if you live a life of service, that's what you do, you know? And, so yeah, that's it.
Can I say a prayer for you real quick, bro? Please
Do it, brother. I love you, man.
All right, guys, I'm sorry. If anyone's not religious, feel free to leave. I'm going to do what I feel like I need to do. I want to say a prayer for my man, Brian Barczyk. So if you want to hang out, please do. But I'm going to drop this prayer. Let's go.
Let's go.
God, I know I've been talking to you on a daily. Been praying for my man, Brian Barczyk. I pray that you give this guy just more painless days. Let him just live and be there for his wife, for his family, for his grandkids. But just keep him fighting. Keep that dog in him. I just pray that you keep this guy in our lives. You know, in an ugly world like today, he makes this world beautiful. And I don't imagine a world without him, God. So I just pray to you, please, to keep the fight in him so we could get through this. And I pray that we could just get back to regular business that has nothing to do with this cancer bullshit. And just please get my guy just back on schedule. In your name, I pray, God, please. Amen.
Amen.
I love you, Brian. Thank you so much. Guys, it's a wrap. Episode 419. Brian Barczyk, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice to see you soon, guys. All right. Thank you for everything, guys. Take care.
Man, thank you. I appreciate you, bro.
Thanks. Love you, man.
Have you a good night. Fuck. Oh, man. I try to keep it together, guys. I'm sorry. I tried my best. It's hard. It's really hard to keep your shit together when somebody you love is in front of you. Oh, my God. Insane. I don't know. Like, my body I just don't want to accept anything that involves not having Brian Barczyk in this world. But fuck, man, life. You guys gotta be ready for life. It's coming. This life shit is no joke. So I just want to say, man, thank you to anyone who, first and foremost, thank you to everyone who showed up tonight. Thank you for being here for Brian. Means a lot to me. I know it means a lot to him. But guys, value everything we have. Just value yourself. You need to value yourself. I'm going to wrap things up tonight just to let you guys know how I feel about loving yourself. Because when that happens, when you truly love the page and the path that you're on, everything changes. The people around you, the way people look at you, the way people come at you, it changes when you love yourself. People know when you love yourself. You can't really continue life without loving yourself. It's too short not to love yourself. I didn't love myself at all before I met Brian Barczyk. Before Brian Barczyk came in my life, I hated who I was. And even after I met Barczyk, for a while, I still hated who I was. I want to say probably within the last year and a half, I slowly stopped hating who I was. I'm not there yet. I'm not close. But fuck, man, people like Barczyk, and many people like Barczyk. I have my group of circle individuals that I have at my mentors. I don't want to say the names, but they know who they are. The Lost Boys. I love you guys, man. I want to let you guys know, my closest friends out there. I love you guys so much. I don't take any of this shit for granted. Not once. I lost a friend, Forrest Fanning, that affected thousands of people across this nation, even around the world. Losing Forrest brought me closer to a lot of people, brought me closer to Barczyk. So, man, as much as we love the reptiles, it is nothing without the people, obviously. So we need to just value ourselves and value each other. It's okay if someone doesn't like so-and-so. Who gives a fuck? Who cares? Live your life. Has nothing to do with your shit. We've got to find a way to unite more, guys. Just think about if we don't have Barczyk, we're fucked in a way of being united. That guy keeps a lot of people united. So our numbers need to come together. We need to be more strong with each other. We need to just be there more for each other. Even myself, I know I could just be really fucking quick to cut people off or judge, and I don't like that of myself, but I keep my shit tight for a reason. You know what I mean? I'm a work in progress. Every day I have to work on myself. So I have to be careful on who I let into my life. You should be too. But you could still show love. You could still show compassion. You could still show that you care. Empathy takes you far in this world. You know what I'm saying? And I would have never learned about empathy as far as the effect of empathy if it wasn't for this industry and the beautiful people who've taken care of me. Barczyk. Anyways, listen, I don't ever see myself, unless Barczyk comes back to this podcast, I don't ever see myself topping this podcast of what you guys heard tonight. I don't. I was going to take this down after this live and edit it and put out a premiere video that's edited, but I'm not going to do that. I want this to be out for everyone to see. Patreon members, I love you guys, but this such an impactful episode with somebody who inspires me more than words could ever mean. I feel like it's necessary to just leave out for everyone to listen. And I hope this does spread around. If you enjoyed tonight's podcast and you didn't already, hit that like button. The likes are very high. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. I do have goals of myself. I will say I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers. So if you really support the Reptile podcast that you just heard today, the coolest reptile podcast in the world, hit that subscribe button for me. It means a lot. It really means a lot. Hit that notification bell and you'll be on top of every single podcast I drop here on this channel. Just so you guys know, I drop 3 podcasts on this channel every single week. Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays. I don't miss. Okay. And of course, if you're looking for exclusive content, if you want to get more behind the scenes of what you see here, do not hesitate to go down to the very first link in the description below. Click on it. Join the Trap Talk Patreon family and network yourself. Connect yourself with some of the realest, best reptile keepers that are in the industry. Okay. A good way to grow by joining the Trap Talk Patreon family. Get a link to the Discord, link to the IG group chat. Come have fun with us, man. Come have fun with people who are just doing it right by the animals and growing. I love every single one of you. I will say, guys, I'm so sorry I was so caught up with shit, but look at all these super chats. Becky, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Creative Reptiles, my homeboy in the building. Anton in the building. What's up, Anton? Thank you so much. Apple China Exotics, thank you so much, bro. Probably butchered that name again. My mind's everywhere. Father Blue in the building. What's up, Father Blue? Thank you so much. Joni, thank you so much for the super chat. GS Reptiles, okay? Listen, there's so many amazing people in this reptile industry. GS Reptiles, go subscribe to his YouTube channel. Thank me later. This is a good friend that I'm so glad to have, man. This is one of the people I was mentioning. But anyways, I love you, Gary. Thank you so much. Bionic Benny in the building. What's up, Benny? I appreciate you so much. Go give this guy some love. Mr. Nobody from KS, homie Nate in the building. Thank you so much. Berm, Donor Pythons, thank you so much. Tony B, thank you so much. The mayor of Condortown, another dear, dear, dear friend of mine, man. Bill Stiegel, ladies and gentlemen, my guy, man. Appreciate you so much. Again, thank you so much for the super chats. You guys are amazing. You guys are beautiful, man. I'm gonna go. I got a beautiful wife, a beautiful kid. I want to go kiss right now, first and foremost. But then I got work to do, man. It don't stop. The animals don't care about anything. Got to take care of them, and I got to go do my thing. But thank you guys so much. I'll catch you guys here on the next Trap Talk, which is Monday night. And everyone, please do me a favor. Do not stop thinking. Do not stop rooting. Do not stop praying for our guy, Brian Barczyk. The greatest of all time. The GOAT. I love you guys so much. Have a good night, and I'm out.